It has been 20 years since the demons came to our world. All of them are brutal and have caused countless disasters. A large part of humanity became food for them. Fortunately, some humans began to develop powers due to changes in their bodies caused by the demons. These humans fight tirelessly against the demons to keep the human race alive. As a result, a profession was created to hunt and kill the demons that terrorized the world. This group of people was named hunters, the last hope of the world as we know it. Seeing that this was the only option we had, the rulers decided to establish academies around the world so that more people could become hunters, and thus fight the demons more easily. The Xiaodongzhou Hunter Academy is one of them. Here, those who have powers are gifted with a high status, but unfortunately, Feng Cheng had no talent at all. He is a bit dissatisfied with the situation, as it has been 3 years since he has been practicing day after day within this academy, and still has not awakened any talent or power. As a result, people call him a failure, or the weakest in the academy. Feng Cheng is all bruised, and with some things tied to his arms. He thinks he is about to graduate and continues to suffer this bullying from his classmates. People hit him while laughing, saying that he really is a strong guy, because even after being beaten for half an hour, he is still awake. The young men who were beating him smile as they said that the academy's rules are very clear. If you do not awaken some talent and become a hunter, you will not be able to graduate. They emphasize that Feng Cheng has not awakened anything yet, and therefore he would repeat the last year of the academy. This man who was beating him is named Chen Tianyu. Feng Cheng was with a bruised face and breathing badly, but he looks at Chen Tianyu and says that he should not think he is better just because he has awakened his powers. Chen Tianyu gets angry and prepares to deliver another blow, while saying that even if Feng Cheng had powers, he would not be anything more than trash. Weak people like Feng Cheng should be crushed, but suddenly, a power passes in front of Feng Cheng's eyes, which leaves him impressed. This power throws the 3 guys up, defeating all 3 at once. A woman starts to approach them, asking if it is funny to bully their classmates. She looks at them on the ground with a power in her hand and says that they are complete idiots. This woman is named Long Yue. As soon as Feng Cheng sees her, he thinks she is the president of their class and the strongest in the academy. She is also Feng Cheng's childhood friend with whom he grew up. This leaves him quite shocked. Chen Tianyu and his friends get up from the ground, all injured. Chen Tianyu frees and asks how Long Yu dared to help a weak trash like Feng Cheng. However, Long Yu just screams and tells them to get out of there immediately. She closes her face, clearly annoyed with the situation, and says that she would kill all of them if they continued with this. The 3 start to run away in fear of her. Chen Tianyu tells Feng Cheng that he was very lucky today. Feng Cheng frees himself from the chains that held him to the fence and thanks Long Yu for the help. She starts to say that the final tests are in a few months. She asks if Feng Cheng really was going to repeat the year. This leaves Feng Cheng a bit shocked. He calms down and says that it is impossible for him to repeat as his conditions do not allow it. He begins to remember that 5 years ago, his parents died in a demon attack, and since then, his sister took on the responsibility given to their family to be able to pay for his studies. His sister works and needs to calculate every penny she earns. Feng Cheng thinks that it is impossible for him to make her pay for another whole year. He lowers his head and says that if he cannot awaken his powers, he would leave the academy. Long Yu gets angry and punches the fence very hard, causing a great pressure that scares Feng Cheng. She tells him to never say that again. She looks into his eyes and screams at him, not to give up, as there is still a month left before the final tests begin, and surely he would be able to awaken his powers. She starts to leave, and as she passes by Feng Cheng, she emphasizes that if he is not able to awaken his powers by the tests, then he would be a loser for the rest of his life. The 2 look at each other. Feng Cheng is bothered by these words. Feng Cheng watches Long Yue leave and thinks that she is still the same brute as always. However, Feng Cheng thinks that she is really right. There is no way he can back down now, and therefore, he needs to fight until the end to achieve his goals. The night is already beginning to arrive. Feng Cheng starts to run, thinking that he can run 20 kilometers to get to his house. As he runs, he thinks that even though he is the weakest in the academy for not having any of his powers, he will not give up, as his goals are to become strong and turn into an elite, just like Long Yue. He thinks he needs to double his training and understand his limits, and his body, so he can awaken his powers. Feng Cheng continues to run, but right in front of him, there were some people screaming for everyone to run away from there. These people were completely scared. Feng Cheng did not understand very well what was happening there, but suddenly a strong explosion occurs in one of the buildings, throwing smoke and stones everywhere. People began to scream that a demon was coming. Feng Cheng stops running and is confused. A girl was in danger near the demon, running and screaming for help. She was completely scared and crying with her teddy bear in her arms, while right behind her was a gigantic demon looking directly at her. As soon as Feng Cheng sees the monster, he is scared, and this leaves him paralyzed for a while. He thinks that this monster is the most wanted in the city, classified as D-Blade. The monster prepares to strike the girl, who tried in every way to escape death. She continued to run as much as she could while screaming in fear. Feng Cheng, looking at this, can't believe what is happening right in front of him, and this makes him angry. The monster gives a very strong punch where the girl was, destroying all the ground around her. But Feng Cheng was so fast that he managed to rescue the girl before the monster's punch hit her. The girl was in Feng Cheng's arms, still in shock with everything that was happening, while Feng Cheng was completely annoyed with the whole situation. As soon as they stop, Feng Cheng falls to the ground with the girl still in his arms. He thinks he must be going crazy to do such a thing without any power, but his body reacted on its own. He couldn't stand still and see that scene happen right in front of him. The monster manages to find them and jumps, screaming to attack. Feng Cheng manages to save the girl, but his body is pierced by the monster's attack. Feng Cheng screams in pain with this. The girl goes into a state of panic, screaming that Feng Cheng's belly was pierced, but he didn't want to know anything and just screams for the girl to run away from there immediately. She starts to cry and says she would try to find someone to help him. The monster starts to lift Feng Cheng with its weapon still piercing his body. Feng Cheng felt a lot of pain, but was powerless to do anything. The monster throws him with great force against the wall. Feng Cheng was almost dying while in this situation. He starts to think that he was a complete idiot to think that a human with no power could be a hero. The monster starts to approach again, laughing at this situation. Feng Cheng looks at the monster and is filled with hatred, as even the demon was laughing at his face. Feng Cheng thinks he was very scared, clearly. He was already about to become food for the demon. The monster continues to approach closer and closer to Feng Cheng's body, which could not move. He continues to think that there must be a way he can retaliate or save himself from this situation. But the monster steps on Feng Cheng's body, crushing it to the ground. As he is slowly being killed, he thinks that this is the real difference in power, which makes him feel miserable. He lowers his gaze and thinks that it is a pity to die this way, as he has not yet become a hunter. He has not yet become stronger than Long Yu. He has not yet been able to provide a dignified life for his sister. The monster continues to crush him to the ground, making him scream in pain. But Feng Cheng thinks he needs to live. He wants to kill this monster called Blade. He starts to fill with hatred and scream, "Kill," several times. Something inside him starts to cause a strong effect on his body. He hears a voice saying that he has awakened a strong desire to kill someone, and with that, he has met the condition to merge with the demon slayer. The voice continues saying that Feng Cheng's life was coming to an end. He needed to choose whether he would merge with the demon slayer. Feng Cheng was confused, asking where he was and who was this person talking to him. Feng Cheng asks what it means to merge with the demon slayer. Suddenly, a strange hand touches his arm and starts to climb to his face, leaving him completely scared with this. In the blink of an eye, several hands start to go over his body. Feng Cheng is amazed by this and starts screaming desperately, asking what this place would be. He thinks he might be in some place after his death. The voice comes back and starts to say that this is a danger warning, and there are only 10 seconds of life left for him to make the choice. A scary hand with red power appears, and the voice asks once again if he wants to merge with the demon slayer. At that moment, Feng Cheng's body was already completely secured by the hands. He wonders if he still needs to choose. He starts to scream and think that he only has this chance, so he raises his hand and touches the nail of the strange hand that had appeared. As soon as he touches it, the voice says that the fusion was successful and emphasizes that he finally gained the power of the demon slayer. Feng Cheng returns to where he was, with the monster stepping on his body, but a red energy starts to come out of his body. He manages to get off the ground with intense energy covering his entire body. He stands in front of the demon, his body starts to change, his hand takes a different form, the energy starts to come out of his body, showing his eye that was completely different, along with his face. The monster starts to get confused with what he was seeing in front of him. The transformation continues. Fang Cheng's other hand also takes a different form. His feet change, and suddenly his entire body is completely different, with a huge energy around him. The voice inside him says that the Demon Slayer form was activated. Now, Fang Cheng was completely different, enveloped with another body. He looks at his hands and thinks he can't believe he became a demon. He puts his hand on his head and thinks he is feeling that his brain was broken in half. The feeling he has is that he will faint at any moment. The demon takes advantage of this situation and quickly advances to attack Fang Cheng, who was completely not understanding what was happening there. But the voice comes back and starts to repeat the phrase, "Kill the enemy." This starts to echo in Fang Cheng's head. The demon was very close and prepares to kill Fang Cheng, but Fang Cheng holds the demon's attack with extreme ease. He holds the demon and throws him away. The demon hits the wall with great force. Quickly, Fang Cheng attacks again, grabbing the monster's throat and dragging him all over the place. He continues to attack the demon without hesitation, faster and stronger each time. He continues holding the monster by the throat. The monster has no chance of counterattacking. However, the monster tries to counterattack, but Fang Cheng dodges again, saying that it was a very slow attack for him, and prepares another blow, hitting a punch right in the demon's face, throwing him away again, hitting another wall behind him. The people who were there start to say that a demon was killing another demon, and that is unbelievable. Fang Cheng looks at them without understanding. The guys are completely terrified, thinking they were going to die. The voice orders him to kill the humans who saw him. However, he stops and thinks that the voice has come back again inside his head. The voice keeps repeating, ordering him to kill the humans who saw him over and over again. But Fang Cheng hesitates to do this. His form is incomplete. He screams at the men who were there to run away quickly if they don't want to die. The two run away scared. The previous demon starts to get up behind Fang Cheng, while he thinks that even after merging with the Demon Slayer, he would keep his humanity. The demon attacks him from behind, but Fang Cheng sees this and quickly turns around, attacking the demon. He screams that a fist is only to be used against enemies and punches the demon with terrifying force, completely destroying the demon's body. The voice comes back and says that finally Fang Cheng killed the demon, Blade, and with that he stole the ability, Sword Hand. Suddenly, blades start to appear on his arm. Fang Cheng asks if, when he kills a demon, he really steals their abilities. Thus, Fang Cheng thinks that this is the Demon Slayer, and this means that the more he kills, the stronger he will become. Fang Cheng thinks that he spent so long trying to awaken his abilities, but nothing worked, but suddenly he merged with the Demon Slayer, and with that, he released his first ability as a reward for killing an enemy. The voice appears again saying that the will to kill has passed, and with that the human form was restored. Fang Cheng's body starts to return to normal. This makes him understand that as long as he doesn't want to kill or fight, his human form would remain normal. Fang Cheng thinks that the noise of this fight was so loud that clearly some hunters heard it, and if they discover that he has this secret about the Demon Slayer, he would be arrested for research purposes. Fang Cheng starts to run, thinking that he needs to get out of there quickly, as he can't show his identity for now. In the suburb of Dongzhou City, Fang Cheng walked through the streets until he reached his house. Upon opening the door, he calls for his sister, saying he was back. His sister looks at him and asks why he took so long. As soon as she looks right, she realizes that he is injured. Fang Cheng smiles and says that she doesn't need to worry, as he is fine. On the way to his house, he ended up being attacked by a demon, but he managed to escape. But his clothes ended up like this. Fang Cheng thinks he was lucky, because as soon as he merged with the Demon Slayer, his wounds were immediately healed. His sister asks him to be more careful, and asks him not to forget this, as their parents were killed on the way home by a demon. Fang Cheng says he already knows that, and asks his sister to be a little more at ease. His sister wipes her tears, and says that they shouldn't talk about sad things like this. She would prepare dinner for them. Fang Cheng thanks her and goes to the bathroom to take a shower. As soon as he finishes his shower, he goes to the dining table and sees that the food is already ready. He sits at the table with sparkling eyes and says that the food looks wonderful. His sister is happy with that and asks him to eat quickly before it gets cold. Fang Cheng sits on the couch and starts to eat. He asks his sister what she had for dinner. She tries to disguise, saying that she ate at her work. Fang Cheng slams the plate on the table and tells his sister that she always does this, leaves the best food for him and never thinks about herself. He looks at her and screams, asking if she couldn't take care of herself a little, and says that he doesn't want the food anymore. His sister doesn't respond to anything, and her eyes fill with tears. After a few seconds, she turns around crying and says that she does this without thinking twice, because he is her real brother, her only family. She emphasizes that Fang Cheng is the only person she cares about in this whole world. This leaves Fang Cheng speechless. He slaps his hand on the table and stands up, telling his sister not to worry. He would start making money from now on. He would buy another house and give his sister a queen's life. His sister is astonished by these words, as she did not expect to hear that so suddenly. The two look at each other for a while. She stops crying and smiles, saying that he would make it. She faithfully believes in his ability. He smiles and agrees with her. His sister turns again and asks him to finish eating, as she would do her homework. She goes to the kitchen to finish tidying up the things, but she feels extremely happy and fulfilled to see her brother showing this maturity. Indeed, he has stopped being a child and has become a man. She smiles and hopes that everything goes well, that her brother graduates and becomes a strong hunter. Fang Cheng is already in his room and thinks that tomorrow is the weekend, so he would take advantage of his free time to make money by hunting demons. He sits on his bed with his phone and starts to connect with the Hunters Union software. There he could get a lot of information about this subject. He starts looking at the options he had, and one of them catches his attention, an advertisement written, "Abandoned Office Park, Piranha Octopus, Class E. The reward is 3,000 yuan per demon. All hunters can participate. This information will be validated for a long time." Fang Cheng thinks that the office park is 10 kilometers from his house. It's a good deal. All of them are Class E demons. With this he can earn 3,000 yuan each. He thinks it would be much easier if he fought with his Demon Slayer ability, but killing demons while in the form of Demon Slayer is like a time bomb. They are always trying to take over Fang Cheng's head, like a parasite. He needs to use it with extreme care, not to lose control of it. Fang Cheng sighs and thinks that there is nothing easy in this world. He doesn't care about it anymore. He would make a good amount of money, so that his sister finally has the life she deserves. During the night, a heavy rain was falling in a completely destroyed place. Some guards protected the place, while other men were looking for something. A man with white hair asks the others if they looked at the neighborhood security cameras. The man replies that when the Blade Demon appeared, all the cameras stopped working, and with that, they have no clue. The white-haired man tells them to go, talk to the witnesses and investigate as much as they can the clues. They need to find who killed the Blade Demon. The subordinates lower their heads and agree with this and start doing it. The white-haired man thinks that an ordinary hunter would not stand a chance of killing a Class D demon, not to mention that from the traces of the fight, it is very likely that the other individual who killed Blade is also a demon. The next day, early in the morning, Fang Cheng had taken a train to the location of the advertisement. As soon as he arrives at the place, everything was completely destroyed. Fang Cheng looks at all this and thinks that a place where people used to work daily was completely devastated like this. As he walked through the place, the monsters start to observe him. As Fang Cheng continued to advance through the place, he finds bodies of hunters thrown on the ground. He looks at them and thinks that by the state of the body, they were not killed long ago. Fang Cheng notices that the two bodies had deep wounds in their chests. Probably their organs were eaten by the demons. As he looked at the people lying there, some monsters were behind him looking. Suddenly, he feels a dangerous aura and turns around quickly. Now, right in front of him, were 3 monsters ready to attack him. Fang Cheng prepares to fight and thinks that finally they appeared, the demonic octopuses of Class E. This type of parasitic demons that use human bodies is difficult to deal with. The 3 jump together to attack Fang Cheng, who remains motionless in the same place. However, as soon as the 3 tried to hit him, he jumps and quickly dodges the 3 attacks. He lands a little away from the 3 and thinks that after he merged with the Demon Slayer, even without using the form of the Demon Slayer, he can still move with extreme ease. Now Fang Cheng starts to use the demonic aura he gained after merging. The 3 monsters come at him again. The voice comes back again and tells him to attack the detected enemy, automatically activating the sword hand ability, and suddenly the swords he had stolen from Blade appear. Fang Cheng looks at this and thinks that, even without him wanting, these things appeared on him to defend his body from any danger. He thinks it's like an artificial intelligence program that activates in the face of any danger to defend the user. Fang Cheng starts to attack, using his hand swords to test the strength they have, even in human form. Quickly, he jumps and cuts one of the monsters. The other two were coming in his direction. Quickly, he jumps without hesitation and strikes them, slicing them into pieces in a matter of seconds. The three monsters were lying on the ground. Fang Cheng thinks that there is no ability to steal from these octopus monsters. It seems there is no benefit in killing Class E demons. As soon as Fang Cheng looks ahead, he is startled by what he sees. Several monsters appeared at once in front of him. Fang Cheng begins to realize that he was lured to this place on purpose, and this was an ambush. From what he is seeing now, the first three monsters were just bait, so that the others could surround him. The monsters start attacking Fang Cheng, who observes everything around him and thinks that there are too many of them. Fang Cheng starts attacking one by one, cutting in half all those who were close. However, the more he fought, the more appeared. However, Fang Cheng does not despair and continues fighting and killing one by one, but more and more monsters start to appear. Fang Cheng begins to think that he is in the center of their nest, hence the quantity. He continues fighting without hesitation, destroying all the monsters that approach him, but the quantity seems never to decrease. Fang Cheng begins to get tired and thinks that he would not hold on much longer, as he is also Class E. If he does not transform, he would be surrounded and killed. Fang Cheng starts to run to get out of the middle of all the monsters. However, while he was running, one of the monsters comes out of the ground and grabs his leg, making him stand still. At that moment, Fang Cheng starts to get a little scared, as now, in addition to having many monsters behind him, he is also trapped. Suddenly, a giant monster appears in front of him, laughing and saying that he would see up close who had fallen into his trap. As soon as this monster gets closer, he laughs again, saying that it is Fang Cheng. It was just a grain. It wouldn't even clean his teeth with him. This monster is the Class D demon, the Octopus Sage. Fang Cheng realizes this and panics, as, in addition to being Class D, this demon had a stronger aura than blades. The monster asks to cut Fang Cheng into little pieces for him. The monsters start to grab him. Fang Cheng thinks that if this continues, he would be eaten alive. The voice returns to his head screaming, "Kill the enemy," several times without stopping. Fang Cheng's eyes start to turn red, and with hatred, one could see the thirst for blood in his gaze. The monsters completely cover him, but a red aura starts to come out again. The voice announces that the Demon Slayer form was active again. In seconds, he kills all the monsters that were holding him. Fang Cheng says that he was forced to use this form, so all of them would feel the pain of being killed. Fang Cheng continues advancing and killing all around him, as if he were playing with all of them. The Octopus Sage watches this and wonders if a human can really transform into a demon. He finds this very interesting. Fang Cheng screams that he just wanted to fight against some Class E demons to earn some easy money. He didn't think he would be able to fulfill the simple wish. The wise octopus begins to laugh, saying that Fang Cheng had gained the body of a demon but didn't know it. He's just an ant living in a different body. He says this is very funny. Fang Cheng hears this and stops attacking the others and turns to their leader, saying that a demon like him, who thinks he is above everything in the world, he jumps to attack with anger and asks how the wise octopus could understand what he is feeling at this moment. He continues attacking and saying that this monster trash can't understand how hard it is for humans to survive. The attacks continue, but they didn't have much effect. The wise octopus says that Fang Cheng really wasn't bad at all. He really knew some tricks. The octopus attacks quickly and says that Fang Cheng is too slow to fight with him. With his tentacles, he captures Fang Cheng, who doesn't understand why he is doing this. The giant octopus begins to laugh and says that he caught Fang Cheng. The wise octopus says that he would destroy the two swords that he had in his arms, just to see what he would use to fight him. With a quick movement, the wise octopus really destroys the swords that were in Fang Cheng's arm. He looks at his hand and thinks that he didn't like that much, because after the hand sword is destroyed it can only be used again after some time. The wise octopus attacks again with his tentacles, hitting Fang Cheng squarely as he's thrown away. The wise octopus says that the weak must be killed. This is the cruel reality they live in. Fang Cheng gets up and thinks that this wise octopus is smarter than Blade, is more cautious, good at short and medium distance. Fang Cheng thinks he needs to find his weakness soon and kill him as quickly as possible. The octopus comes to attack again, asking what Fang Cheng was thinking and where all that arrogance from before went. He attacks mercilessly, but Fang Cheng manages to quickly dodge the attack this time. As soon as he dodges, he looks at the octopus's face and thinks that his eye is soft. Probably that would be his weak point. Fang Cheng thinks that if he throws dirt in the octopus's eye, it can make a small difference in the fight. The octopus stops and looks at Fang Cheng and says that even with this demon form, He is still nothing to him. Fang Cheng stomps on the ground, raising dust. He kicks this dust that rose, hitting directly in the octopus's eye, which gets irritated with it. Fang Cheng says that a demon like the octopus should use any method to kill him quickly. Fang Cheng jumps and attacks the octopus. The octopus screams in pain, saying that he needs to get rid of Fang Cheng quickly. Fang Cheng wonders how the octopus manages to separate his brain from his body. He picks up a spear and tells the monster not to run away. He throws the spear, which goes through the octopus's head from one side to the other. The octopus screams in pain again. The octopus lying on the ground thinks that, luckily, his brain was not completely destroyed, but he needs to lie on the ground and pretend to be dead so that he can recover his vitality. He thinks that this way he will be able to kill Fang Cheng, but he didn't expect Fang Cheng to come close to him and say that he should not let his guard down, even with a fallen enemy, and therefore he would finish this once and for all. The octopus starts sweating hearing this. The octopus starts screaming, calling Fang Cheng crazy, but it didn't help. Fang Cheng finished the job without hesitation. The voice returns and warns that he had killed the wise octopus, and, with that, he stole the enemy's ability, Tentaclus. Fang Cheng thinks that this ability is really strong, but it can be used to fight enemies or to climb something when necessary. The voice warns that the killing will has passed, and therefore the human form is returning. As soon as Fang Cheng becomes human again, he realizes that his body is all sore. This time, the Demon Slayer form did not activate the self-healing. He bends down a little while thinking that it is really not easy to win. Fortunately, he killed the D-Class Wise Octopus. This monster must be worth much more than normal octopuses. In the city, people wondered what that was. Fang Cheng was carrying the head of all the dead octopuses on his body. Fang Cheng was walking with difficulty. He thinks that he shouldn't have skimped on transportation, as the head of the wise octopus was much heavier than he thought. If it weren't for that, he could have taken a taxi. He finally arrives in front of the Hunters Guild, where he would receive the reward for killing the monsters. Fang Cheng enters the Hunters Union building. There are several people inside with their hunts. Fang Cheng begins to analyze his surroundings and thinks that there are several professional hunters. He sees two people in black near the wall looking at Fang Cheng. One of them yells that the head on his back looks very much like that of the Class D demon, the Wise Octopus. This makes Fang Cheng a bit uncomfortable. He looks at the two men there and thinks that they are the inspectors of the Hunters Union, and that they are talking about him. The inspectors approach Fang Cheng and begin to ask how a guy who still looks like a student without powers managed to kill a Class D demon. The other says that he must have stolen the prey from someone else. Fang Cheng asks if, by any chance, students couldn't fight demons. The inspectors say that if he is really that confident, he should prove it. They ask him to show his hunter's license. Fang Cheng begins to get irritated, because according to the rules and laws of the Union, inspectors are not allowed to look at other people's licenses. Clearly they are just trying to make things more difficult. Suddenly the two jump on Fang Cheng, saying that he panicked, so clearly he must have stolen that prey from someone else and therefore they would take it. As soon as the two try to grab Fang Cheng, he manages to quickly jump away from the two. The other hunters who were behind begin to notice this and say that there is a fight right there. One of the men who was in line looks at this situation and thinks that besides Fang Cheng carrying an extremely heavy load, he was still able to move at that speed to escape from two men. It seems that he is not just any student. One of the inspectors yells at Fang Cheng, asking how he managed to escape like that. The inspector runs again and tries to grab Fang Cheng's hunt, but before he touches it, Fang Cheng grabs his hand and punches him right in the face, making him bleed from the mouth and fall to the ground. The other inspector is already behind Fang Cheng, preparing to punch him. But as soon as the inspector tries to hit him, he quickly dodges, grabbing the inspector and throwing him forward quickly. The two inspectors were lying on the ground, and the other hunters were all there looking. Some commented that Fang Cheng moved very well, while others say that he had gotten into trouble. The same man from before with a hat yells to everyone that the fight was over. Fang Cheng looks at him. This man is the vice president of the Hunters Union called Jody. He approaches and says that he saw everything that happened. Judy says that he believes that the black-haired boy has the power to kill a Class D demon. The two inspectors get up from the ground, all battered, and yell at the vice president, saying that this boy is causing trouble and that he should do something. The other says that this child has no eyes. He is doing this inside the Hunters Union. Fangcheng just listens to all this silently. Juti closes his eyes and begins to say that the ones who have no eyes are the two of them, because they are unable to recognize the strength of other people. Not to mention that they were the ones who looked for the fight, and even so the two still had the courage to come to him and say these things. One of the inspectors tries to speak in his defense, but Juti looks at them with an annoyed face and says that he doesn't want to hear a word from the two of them and that they could leave, as they were fired. The Hunters' Union does not support idiots like the two of them. The two hug and start to cry because now they were unemployed. Juti goes to Fangcheng and says that he is really skilled and must certainly have an incredible hunter's ability. Fangcheng is a bit scared by this and asks what ability. He lowers his gaze and says that, in fact, he had no hunter's ability. Fangcheng thinks that he cannot let outsiders and those he does not know find out about his demon-slaying ability. However, as soon as he says this, it causes a problem, because the other hunters start to question about it. For besides carrying the head of a Class D demon, he was also able to defeat two men carrying all that immense weight on his back, as if it were nothing. This is impossible. He is clearly hiding something. Vice President Juti smiles and puts his hand on Fangcheng's shoulder, saying that he believes in him. Fangcheng is a bit taken aback. Juti calls Fangcheng, saying that he would take Fangcheng to receive his reward for the hunt he had made. Fangcheng thanks him and begins to follow the vice president. The other hunters look at this without understanding anything. Some of them say they can't believe that this child was personally received by the vice president. Inside the room, Fangcheng leaves his things with a woman. She introduces herself and says her name is Nan. She is responsible for the rewards within the Hunters' Union. Fangcheng is impressed with Nan's power, as she manages to use telekinesis to carry things as heavy as these heads without even making an effort. Vice President Juti smiles and tells Fangcheng that from now on, whenever he wants to collect rewards, he could come to Nan without lining up. He also turns to Fangcheng smiling and says that Nan is single, so they could chat a bit too. Nan hears this and gets a bit embarrassed and starts yelling, asking what the vice president was thinking, saying those things. Fangcheng puts his hand on his head, a bit shy, and thanks the vice president. However, he says again that he is just an ordinary student. He really doesn't have any ability yet. The vice president says that was the reason he liked him. This leaves Fangcheng completely shocked, wondering why that is. Juti smiles and says that he is exactly like Fangcheng. He also had no abilities, but he worked hard day after day without any rest, improving his physique as much as he could, and with that, he surpassed most hunters. This leaves Fangcheng impressed and thinking that Zhou Tie became vice president of the Hunters' Union only by relying on his body and his combat skills. He really is extraordinary. Nan says that while they were talking, she calculated the reward. The Class D wise octopus is 100,000 yuan. 10 Class E octopus monsters, the reward is 30,000 yuan, and a bonus of 10,000 yuan. This gives a total of 140,000 yuan. Nan points out that this amount has already been transferred to Fangcheng's bank account. She takes a card and hands it to him. As soon as Fangcheng takes the card in his hand, he is very happy and thinks that this is the first time he has earned so much money. He thanks Nan for it. Juti looks at Fangcheng and says that when he was fighting with the two inspectors, Juti analyzed his fighting style and his abilities. It is still a bit rough. Juti says that the next time Fangcheng goes there, he could look for him so he could teach him some new techniques and tricks. Fangcheng is happy once again with this and says that he would definitely look for him. While Fangcheng and Juti were talking about the fight, Nan stayed behind the desk, looking at him and thinking that all this is very boring. All the men she knows only know how to fight and practice, but she finds Fangcheng beautiful. However, she is a bit embarrassed, because she doesn't know what his type is. Fangcheng thinks that Juti is an extremely talented senior. He would definitely learn a lot from him if he has an opportunity in the future, but he wants to leave that for later. Fangcheng looks at the card in his hand and thinks that the most important thing now is for him to go back to his house and tell his sister that her younger brother, whom she had so much hope for, finally managed to earn good money. It is night. Fangcheng was walking through the streets back to his house. He holds his card and thinks that this is the first reward he has earned in his life. His sister would be very happy to know about it. He looks to the side and sees an image of the Demon Slayer on a screen. He is startled by this. This television was broadcasting a news. The presenter says that recently, a video showing two demons fighting each other went viral on the internet. This demon has been named the Demon Lord. Fang Cheng panics, thinking it's his fight against Blade. He wonders who put this on the internet, and the worst part is that it's on the main news. The news continues and shows an image of a man holding the photo of the Demon Slayer in his hands. The news says that, regarding this incident, they interviewed the leader of the Demon Hunters Department, the Lone Wolf. He said that demons are not trustworthy creatures and therefore everyone should be careful. The Demon Hunters Department will be there to hunt the Demon Lord and they would give him a death sentence. This makes Fang Cheng very apprehensive. The people who were on the street start commenting on the subject, saying that they heard that the Blue Demon, known as the Demon Lord, fought against his own race to save humans. Another man asks how a demon could save a human like that. Another says that if demons really help humans, he shouldn't be called the Demon Lord, but a hero. Fang Cheng thinks that his other form has already caught the public's attention. He reflects and realizes that being famous is definitely not a good thing for him. Therefore, he cannot reveal his identity, otherwise he would have problems. Fang Cheng continues walking through the streets and finally arrives at his home. He opens the door, saying that he was back and, in a great mood, asks what delicious food his sister prepared this time. His sister runs to him and is happy that he finally arrived, as there were big news circulating out there. Fang Cheng says he heard about some things. She picks up an image and says that she saw a video on the internet and there is a monster called the Demon Lord. She asks Fang Cheng to be very careful when he was going back to his house. Fang Cheng looks at the image of himself and says that everything is fine. He sighs and thinks that these news really spread too fast, as even his sister, who normally doesn't go out much, was already aware of all this. Suddenly, Fang Cheng becomes very happy and holds his sister's hand, asking her to leave that video aside. He takes the card and says that inside there was 140,000 yuan that he had earned. His sister is impressed and can't even speak properly. Fang Cheng puts his hand on his chest and says that this money came from demon hunting. After he trained a lot, he became much stronger than before, and now he is able to fight demons. His sister asks if he finally awakened his hunter powers. He looks away and scratches his head, disguising, and says that it's more or less like that. His sister is a bit worried about him and asks if he had any wounds, as fighting demons was very dangerous. She became a little sad, as it was hard to imagine how much Fang Cheng suffered to get that money. Fang Cheng smiles and tells his sister that he was very well. She just needed to take the money. She looks at him with admiration and says that then it's all right. She would use the money to pay their bills and the house. She says that, after the death of their parents, unfortunately, they had to borrow a lot of money from their relatives to survive. But with this, she would be able to pay everything. At that moment, Fang Cheng becomes serious. His look changes from happy to angry. He asks if his sister remembers which demon killed their parents. She begins to say that it has always been a mystery. According to the information they gave, the killer was a mysterious demon that had the form of a flame. After he burned their parents and the other people who were on the street, he disappeared from Dongzhou, and his current location remains unknown. And that's all she knows about this subject. Fang Cheng listens to everything, and begins to think that apparently this demon seems to be something else. Fang Cheng clenches his fist and says that he would continue training, and as soon as he was strong enough, he would have his revenge. An experienced hunter like Zhao from the Hunters Union must know the truth. He needs to visit him as soon as he has a chance. His sister notices that he was getting irritated, so she touches his face, calming him down. She says that they still don't have the strength to take revenge, so they should live together and in peace. Fang Cheng says he knows that. The next day, Fang Cheng was running very fast, saying that he was late, because yesterday he was so busy making money that he forgot that today he had class. He is so fast that he passes through the corridor without anyone understanding. He finally arrives at his and opens the door. Everyone was already inside the classroom. People were again commenting on the Demon Lord video, saying that this video has become very popular. However, what he hears is something different. People were saying that the blue demon is very brave. Another said that a demon that saves humans with a sense of justice can be called the Demon Lord. Fang Cheng sighs and thinks that even his classmates are already aware of this. His life is becoming tiring. He really wasn't the Demon Lord. Suddenly someone comes up to him and says that he has changed. This person was Long Yu. She looks at him and says that he looks much stronger than 2 days ago. He smiles and says that she must be seeing things, but he thinks that her intuition really is too sharp. The same guys from before appear, laughing and saying that the two lovebirds were already talking early in the morning. Long Yu turns around, ready to attack, and says that the lesson she had given them before was not enough. However, Fang Cheng stands up and takes the front, telling Long Yu that she didn't need to take care of them. This leaves her not understanding what was happening. Fang Cheng looks at the leader of the three and says that he is just a dog. This makes Chen Tianyu very angry. He screams, saying that it seems that Fang Cheng had the word death written on his face. Chen Tianyu starts to attack and screams at Fang Cheng that he would not win just because Long Yu was there. He throws the plate he was eating, but Fang Cheng calmly holds the plate and starts saying that he has been in the Hunter Academy for 3 long years. Suddenly, Fang Cheng begins to move with incredible speed and asks Chen Tianyu if he really thinks he would continue with this joke every day. With impressive speed, he pushes Chen Tianyu's face, throwing him to the ground, leaving everyone around him impressed with that. Chen Tianyu hits the ground angrily and curses Fang Cheng, saying that he is not taking this seriously. Chen Tianyu stands up and jumps to attack, while screaming that trash without abilities dares to want to fight him. As soon as Chen Tianyu tries to hit his punch, Fang Cheng easily dodges, leaving Chen Tianyu not understanding what was happening. Fang Cheng mocks him, asking if that really was his maximum speed. Chen Tianyu turns, with hatred, but Fang Cheng hits a knee in Chen Tianyu's stomach, causing huge pain. This blow was so strong that it throws Chen Tianyu several meters back, making him hit the wall again. The students look at this astonished. Chen Tianyu is all bruised and lying on the ground. He asks how this is possible, where Fang Cheng got all that speed and strength. Fang Cheng goes to Chen Tianyu, who was still on the ground, and starts saying that today is a different day from the past, when Chen Tianyu bullied people. He should imagine that one day he would pay for everything he did. The people who were there ask if Fang Cheng was still the same, as he was very strong. Other people said that Chen Tianyu really deserved this for a long time already. Long Yu looks at this and thinks that, in theory, even if Fang Cheng had trained in secret and had learned certain combat skills, he still would not be able to defeat Chen Tianyu so easily. She continues looking at him and thinking that his kicks and punches are very strong. It is possible that he has awakened some body-strengthening ability. Suddenly, someone shouts for them to stop it. This person is the professor of the Hunter Academy. He asks all the students to follow him outside, as today the academy is organizing a demon hunting test. Most students are startled by this, asking if they really would have to fight demons. Chen Tianyu's friends help him get up. As he gets up, he shouts at Fang Cheng that he would never let him get away. Fang Cheng just looks at this without saying anything. Even with his face all bruised, he shouts that this time he was careless. He wouldn't be a man if he didn't get his revenge. Fang Cheng thinks that Chen Tianyu is a very vengeful guy and is difficult to deal with. So, as soon as he gets a chance, he would get rid of Chen Tianyu. After that, the students and teachers followed to a mountain that is the domain of the academy. A gate and huge walls surrounded the place. The professor asks for everyone's attention and starts explaining that they don't have much time until the final test. And, in order to stimulate their potentials and grades, the academy has prepared a demon hunting test. The professor points to the door and says that when they enter the mountain, they will face a class of demon, call it the grass demon. If they kill it, they can absorb the essence of its body, which has the effect of stimulating each one's potential. The students are more relaxed as the strength of a Class F demon is equal to that of a wild beast. They could fight against that. Chen Tianyu smiles and tells no one to try to compete with him for the demons, as all the rewards will be his. Long Yu turns to Fang Cheng and asks what he thinks of this test. He replies that it is not the Class F demons that are dangerous, but the competition among the students. He says they need to be careful with the other students. The professor shouts that the test will begin and they need to organize themselves to enter in an organized manner. The guards start opening the gates. Chen Tianyu's group runs out, saying they would be the first. Chen Tianyu asks his colleagues to stay alert, as they would have to grab all the resources. After that, all the other students were entering the mountain. From afar, there was a skull on the ground. Fang Cheng crouches down to pick up and analyze the bones. Long Yu asks him what he sees so cool to focus on that. He replies that it says a lot about the place, as Class F grass demons are very weak and usually do not have the ability to kill humans. Fang Cheng feels something and shouts that they were coming. Long Yu looks at them and thinks that this is very strange, as they were coming faster than normal. Long Yu asks Fang Cheng to hide behind her, as he would not be able to fight against so many grass demons. However, Fang Cheng asks Long Yu to step aside and leave it to him. She doesn't understand this. Fang Cheng starts moving fast again, attacking several of the monsters that were there and defeating one by one. He notices that there are 2 monsters going towards Long Yue. He shouts at her to be careful with her back, but he was already behind her, defeating the monsters that tried to attack her. This leaves her completely paralyzed, wondering if this person beside her is really the same Fang Cheng. After a few minutes, he stops in front of her with all the monsters dead. Fang Cheng thinks that, compared to Blade and the wise octopus he fought earlier, these Class F grass demons are extremely weak for him. Long Yu shouts scared, asking how he got so strong in such a short time. He didn't even seem the same. He smiles and says that people change. She shouldn't think too much about it. They should absorb the essences that fell from the grass demons now. They start collecting the essence of all the demons that were killed there. Suddenly, Long Yu starts to hear a noise. Some students were running and shouting that everyone should run as a demon was coming. Long Yu says that she hadn't noticed that other demons were coming, but this time she would take care of them. Fang Cheng asks her to wait a bit, as this demon is not just any demon. A huge demon made of tree branches and roots was running after the students. As soon as Fang Cheng sees, he shouts that this is a Class D tree demon. The demon stands face to face with the two. Long Yu asks why there is a Class D demon in a forest meant for testing with Class F and Class E demons. Fang Cheng touches her shoulder and says that now is not the time to question this. She should just stay away from this demon. Long Yu is a little embarrassed, as this is the first time in her life that Fang Cheng has touched her body. Suddenly, Chen Tianyu's group appears, and he says that only cowards run. He emphasizes that a true hunter must fight against any demon. It's always life or death. They jump in front of the two to fight the demon. Long Yu asks Fang Cheng if, when he beat up Chen Tianyu, he also broke his brain. Chen Tianyu looks at the demon that is very close to him and says that today he would show everyone how to kill high-level demons. He was thinking that with this he would show Long Yu how strong he is, and Fang Cheng would be afraid of him, knowing that he was no match for him. The other students who were previously running from the monster hide in the trees and look at what is happening, asking if Chen Tianyu was really reliable for this. A woman says that this is a Class D demon. Another student says that it seems that Chen Tianyu is quite confident. Maybe he has the strength to defeat this demon. While the others were saying that maybe a miracle would happen, Chen Tianyu starts to advance, while shouting that even if the demon was big, it was still not difficult to defeat a tree demon. He jumps and tries to strike the demon, but the demon defends with extreme ease, leaving Chen Tianyu scared with this. The demon grabs him by the arm. Chen Tianyu starts to get desperate. The demon punches him, throwing him down with great force. With that, Chen Tianyu was almost defeated already. His companions scream, asking if he was okay. He asks why they are just looking and asks for their help. The demon doesn't care about anything and kicks Chen Tianyu with absurd force, throwing him and his group away. Long Yue says that Chen Tianyu has the strength of a normal Class E hunter. He won't be able to fight against this demonic tree. Fang Cheng says that the level difference is glaring. If it continues like this, they would die. The demon starts to approach. Chen Tianyu can't move properly because, in addition to being injured, he was completely exhausted. Long Yu and Fang Cheng start to advance. Long Yu says that they should deal with this, as they would get great materials by defeating this demon. Fang Cheng says that Class D demons are great prey, so they shouldn't leave this to weak people. The demon notices the two advancing in its direction. The students who were hiding see that the two were going up against the demon. The hidden students start running to call the teachers and ask for help. Chen Tianyu's companions were dragging him away, saying that they would leave there, as it was clear that they wouldn't be able to deal with this demon. However, Chen Tianyu was screaming that he would rather die to the demon than be protected by Long Yue and Fang Cheng. While everyone was fleeing, Long Yue tries to use her magic to attack the demon, but he doesn't take any damage. The demon laughs at this. Long Yue is worried because her magic wasn't even able to scratch this demon. Fang Cheng starts to analyze the situation and thinks that the body of a tree demon is all covered by dead trees, like armor. The only way to deal with this is to find a flaw in the armor. The demon prepares to attack. It punches the ground very hard and tree roots start coming out of the ground. Fang Cheng starts to dodge this and thinks that, in human form, he wouldn't be able to defeat this demon. However, with Long Yu close to him, unfortunately, he wouldn't be able to enter the Demon Slayer form. Long Yu was also dodging as best as she could from the attacks, but things were getting dangerous. She thinks that her current strength is at least that of a Class E, but she isn't even able to scratch the bark of this demonic tree. Fang Cheng quickly steps in front of her and says, there's no point in them wasting time there, she should run first. The demon uses its root attack again, trapping Fang Cheng's body, but he manages to save Long Yu from the roots. He asks her to just leave, without looking back, and leave the rest to him. She doesn't quite understand this. She tries to free him, shouting his name, but the demon uses a wall of roots, trapping him and Fang Cheng inside, preventing Long Yu from doing anything or even seeing what was happening inside. She shouts for Fang Cheng to hold on until she breaks this wooden prison. After that, she would save him. Inside, the demon and Fang Cheng face each other. Fang Cheng begins to merge again with the Demon Slayer and thinks he needs to defeat this monster as quickly as possible before Long Yu can break the barrier. The demon begins its attack, but Fang Cheng had already entered the Demon Slayer form. Quickly he attacks and cuts off one of the arms of the demonic tree. He thinks that the woodcutter is active, as his deadly swords have been restored. The demon gets angry at this. A green energy begins to come out of its body, and suddenly another arm appears in its place. Fang Cheng looks at this and thinks that he didn't expect this regeneration ability. Fang Cheng goes on the attack again, thinking he needs to find a way to kill it while it regenerates. The monster was ready for the fight. Fang Cheng jumps and cuts the monster again, but this time the monster manages to use its root power. Fang Cheng jumps to dodge, but he never stopped analyzing the monster while fighting, and realizes that the moment of attack is exactly now, as there is a window of time between one move and another of the demon. Fang Cheng combines his tentacle plus sword skills. The tentacles turn into swords. The demon is impressed with this. Fang Cheng manages to pierce the demon's chest with the blow. With his sword embedded in the demon's chest, he starts to move it to the side, making the demon scream in pain and cutting the demon in half. Fang Cheng thinks it's over. The voice from before announces that he had killed the demonic tree and obtained the thorn ability. The voice warns that he also had an additional ability, the accelerated regeneration ability. He begins to return to his human form and thinks that in addition to extracting an ability, he also gained the regeneration ability as a bonus. In the midst of the demon's remains, he looks at a floating ball and wonders if that was the essence of the demonic tree. He runs up to it and starts to absorb it. While doing this, he thinks that this is the best material for potential stimulation. This is perfect for him. Suddenly, he hears an explosion and gets scared. Long Yu finally manages to break the barrier using her magic. She shouts for Fang Cheng to hold on as she was coming to save him. But as soon as she looks inside, she realizes that Fang Cheng had killed the demonic tree. He smiles and scratches his head, not knowing what to say. He tries to navigate the situation, saying that he thinks he has awakened the strengthening ability, as he feels much stronger than before. The demonic tree underestimated him, so he was able to defeat it in just a few blows. Long Yu says that before Fang Cheng was just any man, without any talent, and in just a few days he became absurdly strong. This is unbelievable. Fang Cheng approaches her and says that this is just Class D strength. It's not that impressive. He emphasizes that there are still awakened with Class A abilities, and even Class S in the world. Compared to them, the two of them are not even close to being announced. Long Yu agrees with him, saying that it really makes sense. Maybe her perspective is too low. She calls him to leave this forest. Soon, as everyone gathers, the professor asks for everyone's attention there and says that today he would like to congratulate the class president Long Yu and Fang Cheng, because in the test, they fought bravely against the demonic tree and did not feel frightened. The two just remained silent, as they didn't want all this exposure. Some students start saying that Fang Cheng shouldn't even be there, as he was just a witness. It was clearly Long Yu who did the work. Another says that Long Yu should take all the credit for it, as she did everything. Another says they didn't even care about that, as what was the point of being congratulated without even having rewards? Chen Tianyu is completely irritated by this situation, thinking that Fang Cheng really was a dam, as he should have killed the demonic tree. A man in black clothes arrives at the time and asks if Fang Cheng was from that class, as a certain someone was looking for him. The professor asks what it would be. Fang Cheng looks at this and thinks that the only person in the world who would be looking for him would be his sister. He has a bad feeling about this subject. Outside, the deputy leader of the hunter department, the lone wolf, was waiting. A man arrives there and says that he was there. Fang Cheng starts to get closer and realizes that the deputy leader was there and starts to wonder what that would be. Fang Cheng recognizes the lone wolf, as he had seen him on television. He wonders if someone managed to find out about his transformation. Fang Cheng thinks he should forget about that. There's no reason for him to worry now. He was with his hands shaking with fear, but he thinks that he was in his human form, so it would be okay for now. The lone wolf looks at him and says that he got there quite quickly. He asks if he really is Fang Cheng, with a serious face. Fang Cheng smiles and says that it was him, and asks why a demon hunter is looking for him. The lone wolf looks with a cold look at Fang Cheng and says that there is a rumor circulating out there that 4 days ago, a teenager saved a little girl from the demon blade. He emphasizes that they were able to create a profile, so they found out that it was Fang Cheng who had saved the little girl. Fang Cheng starts to laugh and says that it was nothing, because bravery is a traditional virtue of their country. The lone wolf goes on to say, and asks if Fang Cheng knew that shortly after he saved that little girl, a blue demon appeared and killed the demon blade. Fang Cheng is scared by this, and doesn't answer anything. Fang Cheng begins to explain that in the end, the blue demon won. Fang Cheng smiles and says he already knew everything because he had seen the news on television. This blue demon, who won, is also called the Demon Lord. While the two were talking, Long Yu was hidden behind a wall, listening and watching them. She watches them while thinking about how Fang Cheng ended up getting involved with the Union Demon Hunters. The lone wolf looks closely at Fang Cheng and begins to say that, according to their judgment, the Demon Lord and Fang Cheng faced each other. He asks Fang Cheng to explain better what happened there. This leaves Fang Cheng a little scared because he did not expect this question. So Fang Cheng swallows hard and confirms, saying that the two really faced each other. Fang Cheng begins to explain the situation. He says that the Demon Lord came and saved him after he had saved that little girl. Fang Cheng emphasizes that he was seriously injured at that moment and was likely to be killed. But suddenly the Demon Lord arrived and fought the Blade Demon while Fang Cheng watched the intense fight from afar. The lone wolf lights a cigarette and asks Fang Cheng if he saw where the Demon Lord had gone after killing the Blade Demon. Fang Cheng says that after the end of the fight, the Demon Lord left the place and then disappeared. The lone wolf looks angrily at Fang Cheng. He says he looked at many cameras around there, but found no trace of the Demon Lord. The lone wolf starts screaming, saying that there is only one plausible explanation for this. The lone wolf continues shouting, and explains that at that moment the Demon Lord did not leave the place. Instead, he merged with Fang Cheng. As he shouted, the lone wolf begins to use his magic. Fang Cheng sees this and is scared. Suddenly, a huge hand appears above him. This ability is called summoning. It grabs Fang Cheng's body, leaving him trapped. Fang Cheng thinks that this ability has a strength equivalent to Class A, so it would be impossible for him to break free from it alone. Long Yue appears from afar, screaming Fang Cheng's name, but before she could do anything, the lone wolf creates another hand in front of her, interrupting her progress. The lone wolf turns to Long Yu and yells at her, saying that no one in the world was authorized to interfere or disturb the affairs of the Union Demon Hunters. Fang Cheng finds himself in a dead end, as the power difference between them is too great. Cornered, he just shouts that he is not the Demon Lord, and asks the lone wolf to believe him. The lone wolf looks at him and says that there are so many clues leading to him that it is almost impossible for people to believe those words without questioning. The lone wolf gets closer to Fang Cheng and says that if he really wants to prove his innocence, all he has to do is obediently take the test. After saying this, the lone wolf begins to conjure some magic in his hand and starts getting closer to Fang Cheng's body, which makes him a little scared of what could happen to his body. Fang Cheng is very scared and thinks that if his demonic transformation secret is discovered, he will be arrested, and they will do a lot of research on his body. A blue magic begins to contact his body, and this makes him think if this was really where he was going to die. The lone wolf is a little surprised by the result he is having. He thinks it is all very strange and definitely not what he was expecting. After he finishes examining Fang Cheng's body, he is completely surprised because there was no trace of demonic energy in Fang Cheng's body, only the normal energy of a hunter. With that, the lone wolf dispels his magic and says that apparently he had made a big mistake. As soon as he releases the two, he says they are free. Fang Cheng just sighs deeply. Long Yue gets irritated with the situation and asks the lone wolf if he was really going to turn his back and simply go on with his life, as if none of that had happened. Fang Cheng asks Long Yue to stop and leave it all in the past, while the lone wolf walks away. He says he will definitely remember Fang Cheng and hopes to see him again. Fang Chung, still panting, says he never wants to see the lone wolf again. Once things calm down, Fang Chung lowers his head and sighs deeply, thinking he was very lucky because the lone wolf did not discover anything about the demon slayer. Long Yue approaches Fang Chung and asks if he's really okay. Fang Chung clenches his fists and, looking at her, says he is fine. He emphasizes that he hopes the Union demon hunters will no longer accuse the wrong people like that. Long Yue is a little sad about this and says that unfortunately, there are so many wrong things to worry about nowadays that it's getting hard. She gathers courage, looks at Fang Chung, and even embarrassed, invites him to dinner. They both blush a little, but Fang Chung accepts without hesitation. It was already night, and he was still thinking about the invitation Long Yue had made to him. In the city of Dongzhou, the two were walking through the streets full of shame towards each other. Fang Chung discreetly looks at Long Yue and thinks she is really beautiful. Long Yue looks at another couple holding hands and gets an idea. Despite feeling embarrassed, she takes his hand and says they should hold hands too. Fang Chung is very surprised by this, almost freezing. Over time, Fang Chung begins to look more at her and smile. He asks her if this is really a date. She says she thought so, but she was angry and wondering why Fang Chung was so absent-minded in this way. As the two walked the streets hand in hand, a woman stops in front of them. This woman was Nan. She is surprised by what she was seeing. The three stop in the middle of the street. Nan was surprised by this. Fang Chung was acting normally, and Long Yue was not understanding who this woman was. Long Yue asks Fang Chung if the two knew each other, while Nan asks him who this woman next to him was. Nan looks at this and thinks that when she saw him at the Hunters' Union, she had thought he was single. She was even planning to go out to dinner with him when she had some free time. Fang Chung answers Nan that this woman next to him is his classmate, and her name is Long Yue. With that, Long Yue adds that the two were childhood friends. Nan sighs and thinks that if the two are childhood friends, her chances of getting closer to Fang Chung were almost zero. Fang Chung tells Nan that if she's not doing anything tonight, she could join them for dinner. However, she turns and starts to leave, saying she couldn't because she had to go back home. She turns around and says that as soon as he has some free time, he should visit Vice President Zhou Ti, as he always wanted to teach Fang Chung how to fight. Fang Chung smiles and says he'll see her later. He thinks that fortunately, Nan didn't get the wrong idea there. After this conversation, Nan leaves. Long Yue turns to him and points her finger, saying it seemed like he didn't want to go back. This scares him a little, but he smiles and tells her to stop it, as they still had dinner ahead. Fang Chung thinks that was clearly jealousy. Fang Chung takes her hand again and invites her to continue, as there was a delicious barbecue place nearby. Long Yue gets embarrassed again. She sighs and says she was a little tired, as she had spent a lot of energy during the day. Fang Chung bends down near her and says that if that's the case, then he'll carry her. This makes her even more embarrassed, but she doesn't waste time and jumps on his neck, laughing and asking how this could be so embarrassing. She looks at him and suggests they do it this way. Fang Chung is speechless. He looks up and says he'll carry her, not that she'll ride like that. She smiles and winks at him, saying it's all the same. She asks if he remembers when they were kids. He always let her do that. The two start walking this way. People look at it, but Long Yue was happy there, and Fang Chung smiles, as he really began to remember when they were kids. A few years ago, they used to run like this when they went to school and when they came back. Long Yue loved Fang Chung's presence. He even remembered a time when he slipped on a banana peel on the ground, making them both fall. With that, little Long Yue cried, but Fang Chung quickly went to her and asked her not to cry, saying he had chocolate in his bag, and if she ate it, she wouldn't feel pain anymore. With that, she stopped crying and thanked him, smiling. Fang Chung caressed her head and said she was really cute. The two continued walking the streets. Fang Chung thought that before he knew this, Long Yue had also grown up. After he remembered all this, he becomes happy and excited and starts to run, saying they should arrive soon. Long Yue gets a little scared, asking him not to run. People kept looking at them and smiling, seeing that they were really happy. Soon after, they arrived at the barbecue place. Fang Chung had eaten a lot. He bows, smiling, saying that this barbecue place is really amazing. Long Yue was a little upset because she wanted more attention from him. She thought he was only focused on the food and didn't even talk to her properly. Suddenly, two people at the table next to them start talking. One of them asks the other if he heard anything, as it was on a nearby street that they found a charred female body. This catches Fang Chung's attention. Immediately, the two men continue talking about it. The other man says he heard about it indeed. He even went to the place where they found it, and the body was hanging on a pole. The other guy says that is really tragic, and the worst part is that no one knows who did it. Fang Cheng says his parents were burned to death. Now that he heard about this similar incident, he began to feel something strange. Long Yue realizes that he was really bothered by this, so she takes action and calls him to run there to take a look. Fang Cheng gets up, but he wasn't normal. He thinks this is really a wave of surprises. Wave after wave. As soon as they arrived at the scene, there were many people there looking at it. A body was upside down on a pole. This shocks Long Yu and Fang Cheng. People said the body was completely burned, while others said the killer was a complete madman, as he had hung the body on the pole. Fang Cheng begins to analyze this, and says that possibly the killer burned the body on the street, so that people would start to panic. While Fang Cheng was talking and looking at it, Long Yue was silent and looking closely at the body. She sees something that scares her a little. She says that if she's not mistaken, that symbol on the woman's forehead is the symbol of the demonic church. Fang Cheng didn't know what that was, and asked Long Yue. Fang Cheng emphasizes that he had already seen information about this church on the internet. It was said that they are a secret organization formed by a group of demons. Long Yue says that's exactly it. The deaths of many civilians are related to the demonic church. Most of its members are high-level demons. After their acts, they always leave an eye mark on their victims. Fang Cheng is silent for a moment and lowers his head. He was thinking that his parents were burned to death on the street years ago, and now burned bodies are appearing on the street again. After learning these two pieces of information, the truth became much clearer. Suddenly, a man arrives in the middle of the people who were standing there. This man had a mark on his forehead just like the woman who had been killed. He held a bag in his hand. Suddenly, he drops this bag. Fang Cheng notices this and quickly turns to see who it was. As the bag falls to the ground, it starts to catch fire, and a large flame appears from the bag, burning the people who were nearby. Fang Cheng shouts for everyone to run away from there. He grabs Long Yue's hand and starts running with her. The flames start spreading rapidly, and people begin to run as fast as they can. Fang Cheng was getting desperate with this. He tries to pull Long Yue as fast as possible out of the reach of the flames. Several people begin to burn and die. They scream in pain and say they don't want to die there. In the midst of the confusion, Fang Cheng sees that the person who dropped the bag was running into an alley. With that, he can't contain himself. Hatred takes over his heart, as it was in this way that his parents were brutally killed. He lets go of Long Yue's hand, saying he would go after the bastard who did this. Long Yue is confused, but she can't do anything to stop him. Fang Cheng was so full of hatred that his speed was incredible. With that, the guy who committed the attack notices that there was someone behind him. But before he could do anything, Fang Cheng was already with his hand on his shoulder, so fast he was moving. Fang Cheng asks this man who sent him there. The man realizes that he wouldn't be able to get rid of this. He turns around with a murderous look, and he starts to catch fire, while laughing at all this. Fang Cheng lets go of the man and backs away a little, looking at this scared. Fang Cheng thinks that these people would rather kill themselves than surrender. He stares at that while wondering what kind of existence this demonic church is. It can make arsonists sacrifice themselves to keep the church's secret. Long Yue manages to reach Fang Cheng and says that this man who did this was just a puppet. The real cultist must be hiding somewhere else. Fang Cheng agrees with that and says it's true. The real culprit of this was not there. Moreover, clearly there would be other puppets like this guy scattered around the city. Firefighters managed to arrive at the scene and contain the flames and help the injured. Two idiots were leaning against a wall. One of them said that people didn't need to panic when something happened, they just needed to record a short video and post it on the internet. The other starts laughing and says that so many trash were burned to death. The smell of burnt flesh was in the air. A woman approaches them and asks how they can be so stupid in this way without feeling any remorse. A policeman sees this situation and goes to the two and shouts at them, saying they should stop immediately with this and get out of there before they were arrested. The policeman tells them to be careful, as the killer could come back at any moment. With that, the two fools get scared and run away from there. From afar, Long Yu and Fang Cheng watch this sad situation. Fang Cheng says that fortunately, the rescue team arrived. He says that tomorrow he would go to the Hunters Union to talk to Zhaodi, as he should know the truth about these combustion incidents. He puts his hand on Long Yue's shoulder and looks at her, asking her please to skip school for a few days for him. She says she could do that for him, but she looks worried. She wonders if he really wanted to go through with this investigation. She thinks that the demonic church is a very strong and terrifying organization. The next day, in the Dongzhou Hunters Union building, two people were fighting. These people were Judy and Fang Cheng. They exchanged some blows. Zhouti praises Fang Cheng, saying he was fighting really well. The fight between the two continued. Zhouti tries to punch with his left hand, but Fang Cheng easily dodges it. However, Zhouti prepares another punch and says that when a person dodges a punch with the left hand of another person, she has to be careful with the punch of the right hand, too. After saying this, he lands a very strong punch to Fang Cheng's chest, making him feel immense pain. He screams and emphasizes that Fang Cheng should remember this. A soldier should never die of exhaustion. Fang Cheng admits his defeat and sits on the ground. Zhouti offers him a bit of a drink can and asks why he was so distracted today if something was bothering him. Fang Cheng grabs his can and starts to open it, while saying that last night there was another case of arsonists in the city. Fang Cheng says that Zhouti probably already knew about this matter. Zhouti takes a sip of his drink and says he was aware of these cases. He points out that by the method used in this arsonist incident, it was clear that it was the work of the flame demon who had set the city ablaze 5 years ago. Fang Cheng immediately turns his attention to Zhouti. He starts to get irritated and asks Zhouti to please tell him all the information he has about this flame demon. Zhouti is a little confused, as he had never seen Fang Cheng like this. Fang Cheng starts to get even more irritated. He crushes the can in his hand and begins to shout that his parents were killed 5 years ago by this flame demon. He shouts, saying it was a vow. He would have his revenge, and until he achieved that, he would not rest. Zhouti sits down next to Fang Cheng and begins to say that Fang Cheng's persistence is truly incredible, and that is why he would tell him everything he knows about this matter. Zhouti begins to explain that 5 years ago, after killing 150 people in an arson attack, the flame demon fled to the demonic church. In these 5 years he was missing, he caused more arson attacks, and his strength increased to Class C. And now, 5 years later, he's back. And it's obvious that now he's much more skilled than before. Zhouti emphasizes that capturing him this way will be extremely difficult. While Zhouti was talking about all this, Fang Cheng starts to pack his things. He puts his bag on his back and starts to leave, saying that no matter where this flame demon is hiding, he will find him and cut him into pieces without hesitation. This leaves Zhouti a little surprised. Fang Cheng turns around with a scary look and says that during this time he would be tracking the flame demon and would train on his own. He would become a Class C hunter. Zhouti is happy to hear this and celebrates, saying that's the spirit. He emphasizes that Fang Cheng has great ambition for this revenge. Zhouti thinks that this boy is truly worthy of his admiration. Fang Cheng continues to leave the building as Zhouti says he was looking forward to seeing how strong Fang Cheng would become. Fang Cheng waves to him as he leaves and tells him to just wait and see what he will become. He leaves the building and starts walking through the streets and reaches a gun shop, where he was thanking them for their sponsorship. Fang Cheng had new weapons and a glove too. He thought that this experience was destined to be a tough battle, so he needed to buy supplies and weapons so he could prepare for what was to come. As he tries out his new weapons and clothes, he looks at a television. A reporter was notifying that this report indicated that there were more cases of combustion throughout the city. This worries him a little. The woman said that on 13th Avenue, in the bar in the East Zone, and in the Central Hospital, there had been arson attacks with the number of victims reaching about 270. The woman asks that everyone avoid crowded places to protect themselves. People were concerned looking at this, but Fang Cheng was irritated again. He thinks he already expected this. More than one attack was happening. Fang Cheng thinks that the news isn't helping at all, as the places were still full of people. The arson cases will surely continue this way. Fang Cheng sighs and thinks that for now he needs to let it go. His current mission is to get stronger as quickly as possible. With that in mind, Fang Cheng leaves the equipment store and goes to the market, where his sister worked. As soon as she sees him, she asks what he was doing there. He says he would practice for a while, and that's why he wouldn't go back home. She is a little worried about this and tells her brother that he should be careful with his safety, as there have been several demon attacks lately. Fang Cheng smiles and asks his sister to take care of herself for now, as common demons were not able to touch him, let alone hurt him. He takes a cell phone from his pocket and says he bought it while he was shopping. He hands it to his sister, saying it's for her. She is shocked but says it was a waste of money, as they weren't completely stable yet. He smiles and asks her to take it anyway, as he has to get back to training and doesn't want to disturb her work. She takes the cell phone happily and thanks her brother. With that, he starts to leave the store. His sister holds the cell phone with both hands while admiring her brother. She thinks that her brother is really maturing and going out much more than before. She starts to smile, thinking that she hopes he gets stronger and achieves his goal. After a long walk, Fang Cheng arrives at the abandoned suburb of the city. He gets ready to fight and takes one of his weapons. He thinks that, according to the information from the Hunters Union, there are many Class D demons hidden in the abandoned city, and even some powerful Class C ones. He continues to walk among the debris, thinking that compared to the city ruins he had searched before, this place he was in now is much more challenging and is a paradise for hunting. Suddenly he smells fresh blood around him. He realizes he has finally reached the demon's hunting ground. A huge demon appears behind him, moving quickly. Fang Chung hears a noise behind him and turns to see what it could be. As he turns, the monster is already attacking him. Luckily, he manages to dodge at the last second, jumping away from the attack. However, another attack comes at him, but this attack is a giant shuriken. He also manages to perceive this attack coming and protects himself with his sword. He thinks that this could be another demon attacking him, and indeed it was a huge demon using the shuriken as a long-range attack. Now, Fang Chung was facing the two demons. He shouts that now he has a spider guy and a nightwalker at the same time, but his shouts are of joy. He starts to get excited as if he desired this fight. He shouts that he's really too lucky. The nightwalker begins to shout "Pray" and prepares to attack again. He throws his shurikens with great force towards Fang Chung, but he doesn't move. Just as the shurikens were about to hit him, he defends himself from all of them with his swords. After defending himself, he realizes that the shurikens were not just illusions, but solid. As he thinks about this, the spider guy jumps to kill him, but he easily dodges again. However, this time, the Nightwalker was already behind him to attack him again. The two monsters were pressing him to the maximum. Fang Chung notices this movement and turns to defend himself with his sword again, but this time, his sword breaks with the force of the monster's attack. With that, he starts to use the powers of the Demon Slayer. He thinks he didn't want to get to this point, but these common weapons were too weak for this battle. He was facing the two monsters again, but this time without his weapons, only with the power of the Demon Slayer. With a cold look, he tells the two demons to savor his thorns and punches the ground, raising several black thorns from the ground and hitting the two demons at once. He sees an opening and jumps on both of them with frightening speed. The Nightwalker realizes this and shouts for Fang Chung to die and throws two shurikens at him. Fang Chung manages to stop both without any difficulty. He activates his hand sword and orders them to start all their attacks, beginning to cut parts of the demons' bodies. He gets even more excited about the fight and shouts to continue, as his slaughter has just begun. He continues to use his powers. This time, it was the tentacle. He manages to grab both demons at once and throw them to the ground with great force. The two demons were already badly injured, lying on the ground, but the spider guy tries to attack again. Fang Chung thinks this is just a stupid trick, as this smoke screen only gives him the possibility to hide and counterattack quickly. The two demons stared at the smoke screen, and suddenly, Fang Chung emerges from it towards them. He passes by the spider guy and cuts him into 4 parts. The Nightwalker is a little scared by this, as the other demon was cut into pieces in a matter of seconds and with just one attack. With that, the Nightwalker tries to flee, realizing he wouldn't be a match for Fang Chung. However, Fang Chung takes his spear and starts using his ability on it. He aims and prepares to finish, thinking that, to deal with these enemies' trash, he should kill them all. He throws his spear with great force, piercing the Nightwalker, who screams in pain before dying. After the demon falls to the ground, a voice tells Fang Chung that he had killed the Nightwalker demon and obtained the Shuriken ability. The voice continues, saying that he had also killed the spider guy and obtained the Black Mist and Agility Enhancement abilities. This catches Fang Chung's attention. He smiles and clenches his fists, thinking that this really increased his speed attribute, not to mention that his body had already become a little more agile. Suddenly he starts to hear some laughter and someone saying, "The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the bird behind it." Several people dressed in black appear behind him, asking if he really was the demon lord from the news. The man in front of them tells Fang Chung to give them his spoils, and they will let him leave unharmed. He tells Fang Chung to be a good boy and listen to them, as they didn't want to use force. Fang Chung looks at them and thinks this is the worst possible scenario, as his identity has been discovered. To fix this, he would have to kill all the bandits in front of him. With that in mind, Fang Chung stomps the ground and shouts to the bandits that if they really want the spoils, they should try to take them by force, as he was really looking forward to seeing what they were capable of. The men call him a bastard and ask if he's stupid to want it the hard way. Another man says they could kill him, so they would get an extra reward. They were prepared to fight, but they hear a voice coming from the outskirts saying it smells. The men stop and look. What was coming was a demon on a motorcycle with a huge sword. He said he smelled a massacre. The demon revs his motorcycle and prepares to attack. The bandits start to get scared, as they had not yet fought such a demon. They shout for everyone to run. However, in seconds, the demon on the motorcycle cuts all of them in half, leaving only Fang Chung standing. He stops his motorcycle and starts laughing, saying it's really incredible. Fang Chung stares at this demon and thinks that he managed to kill 4 Class D hunters with just one blow. Clearly, this demon was not ordinary. The demon puts the sword behind his back and shouts that he never imagined that the arrogant demon slayer would become a parasite to a young boy. Fang Chung is a little uncomfortable with this and asks the demon who he is and how he knew about the demon inside him. The demon replies that who he is doesn't matter. What really matters is the demon slayer inside Fang Chung. The demon points the sword at Fang Chung and says that clearly he has no idea how strong this demon slayer was a while back. Fang Chung is a little confused and says that apparently this demon biker knew a lot about this subject. The demon starts to say that even though Fang Chung is the host of the demon slayer, he still knows nothing. The demon begins to explain that in his past life, the demon slayer was the strongest in the demon world. He was truly invincible, and if he hadn't been killed by a sneak attack, he would have surely lived much longer in the limelight. Fang Chung asks if the demon came there to take the demon slayer's power for himself. The demon smiles and says that is indeed what he wants. Fang Chung prepares for battle and apologizes because he would not give up his demon-slaying power. He activates the Shuriken ability. The demon in front of him says that Fang Chung is a Class D person. How would he defend himself in this fight? The demon rushes toward him, shouting, and tells him to face his destiny because he isn't worthy of having the demon slayer's power. He tries to attack with his sword, but Fang Chung dodges. The demon remarks that he has good reaction time and tries to strike him again. Fang Chung defends himself with his hand swords, forcing the demon to back off. A voice in his head says that a Class C enemy has been detected, triggering the full transformation into the demon slayer. Fang Chung transforms completely into the demon slayer. He throws a shuriken and shouts at the demon to stop right there. The demon smirks and deflects the attack with his sword. He catches the shuriken on his sword and starts balancing it, laughing, asking how Fang Chung dared to use such a poor trick in battle. He throws the shuriken back and shouts that Fang Chung overestimates himself. Fang Chung catches the shuriken with his tentacles and balances it, preparing to attack again, and launches the shuriken with the support of his tentacles. The demon is shocked by the attack's speed. He tries to dodge, but the shuriken still manages to scratch his face. He screams in rage, not believing that Fang Chung could wound him like that. He yells that the game is over and charges forward on his motorcycle at high speed. Fang Chung notices this and feels alarmed because the demon is coming at him very fast. The demon attacks again with his sword. Fang Chung dodges but senses something wrong. When he looks at his chest, there's a large cut. He realizes this was a quick slash. He also stops and begins to feel something strange, thinking that this is what it's like to bleed in a demon's body. The voice comes back, warning him that the enemy's danger level is very high. The full potential of the body will be temporarily released. The demon, after striking, starts laughing, saying that Fang Chung is nothing but simple trash. Fang Chung begins to feel a great power flowing into his hands. His eyes start glowing, emitting a strong and incredible energy. He thinks the awakened power of the demon slayer appears as a flame in his chest. The demon slayer's mouth, which was sealed, now starts to appear until it's fully revealed, with a cold smile and murderous eyes. A black flame emerges from his body. Fang Chung thinks that this feeling of power is incredibly good. The demon fighting him begins to see a strong energy flowing from Fang Chung's body, like flames. He can't believe what he's seeing because Fang Chung's power keeps rising. The voice inside Fang Chung's head repeatedly says it wants to kill, and the bloodlust grows. Fang Chung orders the voice to shut up. He leaps to attack, thinking he doesn't need warnings. He can handle this himself. When he leaps to attack the demon, his speed is insane. In seconds, he's right up against the demon, who is stunned by the sudden speed. The demon can only look at Fang Chung's face, which is now laughing, as if taking pleasure in this fight. The attack hits him hard, knocking him back. The demon plants his sword in the ground and starts getting up. He screams, calling Fang Chung trash, and says this is utterly unforgivable. Fang Chung yells that the fight is just beginning. He attacks again, giving the demon no room to react. The demon can defend himself with his sword and even repel one of the attacks, but it doesn't help much. The fight continues. with Fang Cheng pressing the attack harder and harder. Fang Cheng asks the demon if he really deserves to fight against a knight, wielding his sword. The two face each other. The demon looks at Fang Cheng's face, which keeps smiling, hungry for blood. Fang Cheng begins to use his powers. The demon notices this and pushes Fang Cheng away, thinking he's a maniac with endless strength. Fang Cheng's existence is a danger to every living being on the planet. Fang Cheng smiles and uses his spiky tentacles, invoking fusion. The tentacles start to trap the demon. While he's being restrained, the demon shouts that Fang Cheng is despicable. Fang Cheng responds, saying that he can no longer talk like that, let alone brag, because now he's just a piece of meat on a cutting board. The demon thinks that, fortunately, he had a small trick up his sleeve. He calls his motorcycle, which starts to approach Fang Cheng from behind. It opens two wing-shaped swords on its sides. Fang Cheng barely dodges the motorcycle. However, the true target of the motorcycle isn't Fang Cheng, but the tentacles that were restraining the demon. Once the demon manages to free himself, he laughs loudly and says that when it comes to strategy, he's unbeatable as a swordsman. Fang Cheng reaches out and says it's too soon for the demon to be happy about that. He uses his black mist around the demon. The demon is confused, wondering if it's really an attack of mist. He calls his motorcycle and orders it to protect him at all costs. Inside the mist, Fang Cheng uses his agility-enhancing ability, strengthening his whole body and making it lighter. The motorcycle heads toward him, but now he can easily dodge everything. He thinks that success or failure depends only on his next move. He appears above the demon, who didn't expect that. The demon can only watch Fang Cheng descending from the sky. Fang Cheng lands his attack perfectly. The demon says that Fang Cheng really is a maniac, willing to do anything to win a fight. Fang Cheng dissipates his mist while the demon falls to his knees on the ground, utterly weakened. A few seconds later, the demon completely collapses behind Fang Cheng. The demon's wounds were so deep that he tried to grab his sword but couldn't even manage that. He begins to ponder if this is what defeat feels like. Being defeated by the enemy is the greatest shame for a knight. He begs for death, asking Fang Cheng to kill him quickly. Fang Cheng, with a monstrous energy, approaches him and says that if he wants a quick death, he should tell him what he knows about hell in Dongzhou City. The demon is confused and asks what kind of hell this is. Fang Cheng says that hell has been causing various problems in the city lately. The demon slayer says he's heard about it. He goes on to say that hell is an elite demon cultivated by the demon church. Even though they're both Class C, there's a big difference in their strength. Fang Cheng doesn't understand very well and asks what that difference would be within the same class. The demon starts explaining that hell is a Class C demon at the median stage, while he was still at the lower stage. The demon tells Fang Cheng that if he really wants to win, it'll be more difficult than reaching heaven. Fang Cheng questions if it's harder than reaching heaven. He says he's not surprised that the demon in front of him is a loser, because he says so many useless things. Fang Cheng goes on to say that when he was just a weak boy, he suffered daily from bullying. Even so, he never gave up, kept practicing day after day, giving his all to kill all his enemies. And now that he's finally achieved this power, he asks what kind of hunter he'd be if he were afraid of a simple Class C demon with mediocre forms. Fang Cheng turns around and says that no matter what happens, hell must die. The demon lying there on the ground is startled by these words because they're very ambitious. The demon sighs and says he's just a useless loser without any pride left. Clearly, there's a huge difference in power between the two. The demon says he's far from being someone like Fang Cheng and begs for death again. Fang Cheng turns and says that killing a worthless loser like him would only dirty his hands. The demon asks if that's really the case. The fallen demon tells Fang Cheng that if he's interested, he could take this gift from a loser. Fang Cheng turns, not quite understanding what's happening. As soon as he turns around, he sees the demon disintegrating. The demon says he's severely injured and would die either way, but he prefers to spend his last moments of life leaving his powers to Fang Cheng. With that, Fang Cheng is stunned. A large mass of energy begins to form above them. The demon gathers his last energies and asks to witness Fang Cheng's journey to becoming the strongest being in the world in the future. All this massive energy coalesces into the sword the demon used, turning it dark. Fang Cheng watches in surprise. After a few moments, he extends his hand to take it. Fang Cheng grabs the sword firmly in his hand. As soon as he takes hold of it, he begins reverting to his human form, thinking that the demon has indeed transformed into a magical sword. He holds the sword and stares at it, feeling a spiritual connection, as if he and the sword are one. He thinks this is worthy of a weapon into which a demon gave his life. Suddenly, the voice in his head returns, laughing, and says, "Fang Chung, you really are incredible for brainwashing the villain and getting a free weapon." This leaves Fang Chung completely stunned, as he has never heard the voice speak to him so clearly. He's frightened and wonders how the Demon Slayer, which seemed like an AI without emotion, suddenly started to sound like a human. The Demon Slayer says that he can finally get out and breathe some fresh air. Out of nowhere, an energy begins to escape from Fang Chung's body, scaring him even more, wondering what's happening to him right before his eyes. This energy starts to take a humanoid shape, with wings appearing, but it's just a small demon with the face of the Demon Slayer. He begins to say that now that Fang Chung can see him, why doesn't he kneel and revere the strongest being in the world? Fang Chung looks at him and asks if he's really a smaller version of the Demon Slayer, or just a mascot form. This angers the Demon Slayer, who says that no one dares talk to him that way. He's not some random being, he's the king of demon lords, not some kind of pet. Fang Chung asks if this is really the true form of the Demon Slayer. The Demon Slayer turns and says that yes, it could be interpreted that way, but this isn't his real body. The Demon Slayer says he's in a spirit form here for now. The Demon Slayer turns again, excited, and says that Fang Cheng's hatred energy attracted him and made him feel he could count on Fang Chung to become the best possible host. The Demon Slayer says that as long as Fang Chung keeps killing demons, he would be able to absorb them, and in no time, he could regain his physical body. Fang Chung is alarmed by this and thinks the Demon Slayer is saying his plan out loud. Killing demons is a good plan. Fang Chung thinks that if the Demon Slayer really wants to get stronger quickly, he has no choice but to cooperate with him. If he stays cautious, there shouldn't be any problems. Fang Chung looks at the Demon Slayer and says they should work together because he wanted the Demon Slayer's help to kill hell. The Demon Slayer smiles and says that killing just one piece of trash isn't enough. They will kill all the demons and completely end the demon church. Fang Chung is surprised by this bloodlust from the Demon Slayer. He shouts and says the Demon Slayer seems very enthusiastic about this. Then he asks if there's any reason for it. The Demon Slayer says it's more than just a grudge. He also had very different ideas from the demons in the demon church. The highest leader of the demon church, the self-proclaimed Pope, was the one who set a trap and managed to kill the Demon Slayer. Fang Chung asks if the Pope of the demon church really exists. The Demon Slayer starts to get angry and says that if he were still at his peak, the demon realm and the human world would never be under the Pope's control. Fang Cheng asks who the Pope of the demon church really is. He says there are some rumors about him, but they don't know much about the demon church. The Demon Slayer says that he just needs to know that he's the one behind most of the conspiracy theories. Anyway, they were first going to make a deal. The Demon Slayer says he would help Fang Chung improve his skills and also kill that hell demon. After that, Fang Chung would have to help the Demon Slayer destroy the demon church completely. Fang Chung is taken aback when he hears that the Demon Slayer really wants to destroy the demon church entirely. The Demon Slayer starts laughing and asks if Fang Chung is getting scared. He says that usually only an incredible demon like him would dare to do such a thing. Fang Cheng says that if the timing is right, there'd be no problem in destroying the demon church. The Demon Slayer is happy about that and says Fang Chung is a good kid, ambitious, and that makes him very happy. Fang Chung looks at the Demon Slayer again and thinks he clearly looks like a pet, but he still self-proclaims to be amazing. The Demon Slayer approaches Fang Chung and asks if he's really doubting him. Fang Chung is startled and says he's not. Fang Chung thinks maybe the Demon Slayer has the ability to read minds, since how else would he know what he's thinking? Fang Chung says they should stop talking nonsense. He holds his sword tightly and starts saying there must be more demons nearby, so they should keep hunting. The Demon Slayer doesn't respond for a while. Suddenly, the motorcycle of the dead demon appears beside them. The Demon Slayer says that it looks like the magic motorcycle wants to recognize Fang Chung as its new owner. Fang Chung looks at it and quickly climbs on, saying, if that's the case, then welcome aboard. He holds on tightly to the motorcycle and thinks this will be his first time riding a vehicle with so much energy. He accelerates hard and speeds away on the motorcycle. He shouts that he feels incredibly good to have this motorcycle. Now they continue to ride around, looking for new demons in the area. As he passes through a place, some hidden demons spot him and prepare for battle. Several demons start chasing him. Fang Chung notices this, grabs his sword, and with a single swing, He hits all the demons with the energy coming from his sword. This way, he manages to cut them all down in seconds. The Demon Slayer is reading a book and says that was a decent bit of slaughter. These are Class D ghouls, each of which enhances his speed attributes. Feng Chung smiles and says that's quite interesting because the Demon Slayer is giving valuable information. He looks ahead and sees several of these monsters and says that now he had a small goal, and that goal was to clear out the entire abandoned city. 4 days pass, and in the classroom, Long Yu looks out the window, worried. She was wondering why Feng Chung still hadn't returned to school, and his phone had been off the entire time. She sighs and hopes he hasn't acted recklessly and gone to seek revenge on his own. It's not time for that yet. Meanwhile, on the street, a madman is speeding down the roads, riding a motorcycle with a bag full of things tied to the back seat. It was Feng Chung, saying to Dongzhou that he was back. He looks ahead with determination and thinks that the demon hell should just wait because his time would come, and finally, his revenge would be complete. Feng Chung goes straight to the Hunters Union building as soon as he gets there. He shows everything he got, and Nan can't believe it because there were so many monsters he had killed. She's startled, clutching the pen in her hand, finding it hard to imagine just how strong Feng Chung really was. Zhao smiles and tells Feng Chung that among the rewards, it seems to include the corpse of a Class C rookie sword knight. He says that, from what he can see, Feng Cheng's strength has increased again. Feng Chung says he just got a bit lucky because he found the wounded sword knight and took the opportunity to kill him. Feng Chung thought his overall strength still hadn't stabilized at Class C, so it was better to keep a low profile for now. Feng Chung continues speaking and asks Zhao if he managed to learn more about where the Hell Demon was last seen. Zhao begins to say that the Hell Demon hasn't appeared yet, but his subordinates have caused trouble several times, setting fires in large locations like subways and shopping malls, killing hundreds of people. Feng Chung says that Dongzhou City has no restrictions on people gathering outdoors. Zhao says that going outdoors was prohibited, but people started to resist. Zhao also says that tonight, a group called the Black Sun Band is hosting a show. Fans are afraid of the risk of attacks and fires, but they still want to attend the event. Feng Chung says that intentionally holding a show at such a dangerous time, with everything that's happening, shows that anyone with a modicum of perception can see the connection between this band and the Hell Demon. Zhao says it's highly suspicious, but there's currently no real evidence, and even the Hunting Bureau can't take action against them, especially since the fans are very extreme and no one can stop them. Feng Chung frowns and says he understands. He thinks he needs to enter the show and investigate on his own. Nan interrupts and calls Feng Cheng, saying that the calculations are complete, and she already has his reward amount, which totals 120 million yuan, and this amount has just been transferred to his online bank account. Feng Chung is stunned by this amount and asks if it was really 120 million. Nan confirms, saying there was no error in adding everything up. She explains that just the Class C sword knight had a bounty of 100 million yuan. Feng Chung begins to think that he's going to get rich and that in the future he'll kill many Class C demons. The Demon Slayer appears and says that money makes the world go round. After that, night finally falls, and at the Black Sun VIP bar, the previously mentioned event was happening. Several people were gathering to enjoy the show with their friends, family, and companions. Suddenly, a motorcycle stops at the entrance, and everyone notices it was Feng Chung who just arrived. He looks around and notices there were indeed a lot of people. He didn't expect the Black Sun Band to do a show at the bar. Feng Chung looks at the Demon Slayer and asks if he's not afraid of being discovered. The Demon Slayer says he's currently in spirit form, so no one can detect him except Feng Chung. Suddenly, someone shows up and gets everyone's attention, saying that the show was about to start, and everyone should check their tickets to get in and enjoy the show. People start to get excited and shout. Feng Chung starts to go in among everyone, thinking he really wanted to see who this band really was. The show was starting and the lead singer was singing a song that said, "Ended the war but couldn't find peace. I'm burning and shaking, hope mixed with terror. I fly with the wind but I can't leave the ground." The crowd continues to shout, and Feng Chung asks if this is really what rock music is supposed to be like, because to him, it seemed too loud. However, the Demon Slayer was enjoying the show and screaming, "Yes!" While the people were enjoying the show, Feng Chung spots the deputy leader of the Night Watch, Lone Wolf. Feng Chung stares at him and thinks that he was likely also secretly investigating the arson incidents. The lead singer continues singing, "I eat sadness, I laugh at pain. Alive or dead, it's all the same to me. Tonight, the Black Sun is with you." The crowd goes wild, shouting at him. Suddenly, the lead singer extends his hand and screams that he offers his life to the Great Flame, asking if everyone would join him. Lone Wolf and Fang Cheng notice this and become extremely alert. People keep shouting that they are willing to follow the Black Sun anywhere. They scream that they offer their lives to the flame. The lead singer hears this and smiles, saying, "Let the frenzy of the flame begin." An eye appears on the ceiling of the club. The Demon Slayer says it looks like a demonic sacrificial ritual circle. Fang Cheng comments that he expected it, and it was finally starting. The eye remains open on the ceiling. The lead singer begins to shout, "O merciful Lord of Hell, in the name of mortals I salute you." People start screaming, saying that something was wrong with this show. They begin to shout and run to try to save themselves. Fang Cheng stands still while everyone runs. He looks to the side where Lone Wolf is, and notices that he was also standing still, perhaps trying to lure the Hell Demon out. Lone Wolf doesn't move at all. Fang Cheng thinks it's time to find a hidden spot to transform and fight. People start dying by fire. A voice in the background says the smell of burning is truly wonderful. People with a mark on their foreheads, even while burning, still screamed, saying that this voice was the Lord of Hell. They hailed him. Suddenly, the Hell Demon began to appear. Lone Wolf looks at him and says that waiting wasn't a waste of time. The Hell Demon starts walking there with his body on fire, saying that they can still sacrifice 50 humans at once. He extends his hand, looking directly at everyone. The demon looks at Lone Wolf and asks what's wrong with him, since he's standing there without saying anything and not catching fire. The people engulfed by fire start attacking, telling the Lord of Hell not to worry, as they could handle the rest of the sacrifice. Lone Wolf begins concentrating his magic and asks what mere pawns could do. He tells everyone to get out of the way because he wants to fight directly with the Hell Demon, not with a bunch of weak pawns. Two giant hands appear in front of everyone and start crushing some of them to the ground with great force. The others stop in front of him, looking at him, but none of them retreat. They shout that they should have a flaming party and start to surround him. Lone Wolf uses his magic again to contain everything, preventing any sparks from reaching him. The Hell Demon, watching from a distance, thinks that this guy really has some skills, realizing that he's with the Night Watch. However, while the demon was distracted, Fang Cheng appears behind him, already merged with the Demon Slayer. The Hell Demon notices this and quickly turns around, using his flames to push him away, but the Demon Slayer keeps slashing everything in front of him, including the surrounding flames. The Hell Demon starts to recognize his strength and comments that this demon had the same strength as him. The Hell Demon gets excited and shouts that, since this demon showed up there, he would be buried there. He uses his flames again, but this time with more power. The Demon Slayer dodges the flames, which hit the ground with great force, melting everything. The Demon Slayer keeps his guard up and thinks this attack wasn't bad for a Class C demon, and he even had some good skills. Hell stops in front of him and says it's really interesting. Hell remarks that Fang Cheng has the aura of a demon called Slayer. The Demon Slayer lunges forward with everything he's got, saying there's no time for games, and they should stop messing around. Hell smiles at this and gets ready. Hell blocks the Demon Slayer's arm blade and says his hand is made of a special lava that's harder than metal. The Demon Slayer says that in any case, he will cut off his hands. The two continue fighting fiercely, while Lone Wolf continues battling Hell's minions. Finally, he starts fighting more seriously and manages to excel in his battle. With that, he looks back and is surprised to see another demon there, realizing that the two were fighting. Lone Wolf thinks this other demon is the most wanted, the Demon Lord. Lone Wolf realizes this fight is really serious. The Demon Slayer was fighting with great intensity, making him wonder what kind of grudge he has against the Hell Demon. The fight continues intensely between Hell and the Demon Slayer. The Demon Slayer starts using more of his abilities, but Hell sees the attack coming toward him and says he doesn't even need to dodge it. As the attack approaches, Hell breaks it with a single punch, surprising the Demon Slayer because Hell was able to neutralize the energy blade with sheer brute force. Hell charges at high speed, saying it's time to show the real difference in their strength. Hell lands a blow that starts to concentrate energy in the Demon Slayer's body, causing an explosion at the spot where he was, making him disappear in the blast. Lone Wolf looks back to see what the noise was and sees Hell breaking through walls with the Demon Slayer in his hand until he reaches outside the club, throwing him into a parked car. The Demon Slayer starts getting up, thinking it seems like the Hell demon has an infinite power reserve. Hell asks if this is really all the Demon Slayer has, and says he's a disgrace to demons. Hell charges again, trying to land another blow. But this time the Demon Slayer strikes with a blow that causes a small explosion on the car, destroying the side of the vehicle. Hell grabs the car in his arms and says he wants to see how long the Demon Slayer could avoid his attacks. He throws the car hard toward the Demon Slayer, who, without wasting time, uses his tentacles to hold the car in the air and throw it back at Hell. The car hits Hell's face, knocking him back. The blow is so strong that Hell starts coughing blood and bleeding from his mouth. He says that, surprisingly, this demon still had a few tricks up his sleeve. Hell is irritated by this and begins to unleash more of his flames. Fang Chung starts speaking. This time he calls Hell a disgrace and asks if he remembered the fire he caused in Dongzhou City 5 years ago. Hell says 5 years have passed and that no one would remember something so insignificant. He asks Fang Chung if he can remember how many meals he's had. Fang Chung is annoyed, grabs his sword and jumps, saying he'd make Hell pay with his own blood. Hell also grabs his sword, and the two clash blades. Hell says that Fang Chung's sword carries hatred, but lacks any technique. Fang Chung tells him to stop talking pretty things, but Hell stabs his sword into Fang Chung's chest, piercing his body, saying that hatred only buries your spirit and weakens your will. Fang Chung feels this and falls to the ground in front of Hell, who looks at him and asks why he's already down. They haven't even played properly yet. Fang Chung, unable to move properly, wonders if it would really end like this. Suddenly he hears someone calling his name several times. It was the Demon Slayer who appears before him and says he's truly pathetic. How is he called the Demon Lord when he's so weak? Fang Chung, on the brink of death, asks why even the Demon Slayer came there to laugh at him. The Demon Slayer says that if he wants to defeat this weakling Hell, he should show his determination to kill and keep unleashing the Demon Slayer's powers. Suddenly, the Demon Slayer stops and asks why Fang Chung was fighting against the enemy. Fang Chung pauses to think and replies that he was doing it to earn money and give his sister the best life in the world. He clenches his fist and says that Hell was a special case. He was doing this for revenge and to honor his parents. The Demon Slayer starts smiling and says that then he never fought for himself. This kind of love for battle, the pure desire to kill the enemy, suddenly comes to Fang Chung's mind, making him think about it. The Demon Slayer begins to fade and tells him to return and fight, that he should recover his killer instinct. Suddenly, Fang Chung wakes up and sees something coming out of his chest. A dark energy begins to emerge from the spot where his chest was hit, and a strong red energy starts to surround his body. He begins to wonder what's happening to him. Hell is watching this and starts to get scared, asking what's happening there, as his aura is becoming increasingly stronger. Suddenly, Fang Chung stands up again, opens his eyes glowing with hatred, and a face starts emerging from his body, taking on a new shape while screaming very loudly. Fang Chung continues to scream loudly, unleashing a tremendous amount of energy. Red lightning with blood-colored energy surrounds his body. Hell cannot understand this. He just stares at Fang Chung, thinking he had been hit by a fatal attack in his chest. How could he still be alive and gaining so much strength? Hell begins to grow a bit scared of this situation. He keeps thinking that the more Fang Chung kills, the stronger he becomes. The more he fights, the braver he gets. There is only one demon capable of this, known as the Demon Slayer, the king of demon lords. After a while, in his complete form, Fang Chung looks at Hell with hatred in his heart and, without hesitation, charges at him with everything he has. The voice in his head begins to say,
"The evolution of your body has doubled your explosive power."
Hell is even more amazed by all this. However, at the last second, Hell manages to dodge Fang Cheng's attack, which goes straight through, destroying everything in its path. Fang Cheng turns to Hell again and, with even greater speed, comes back and extends his hand, managing to grab Hell by the neck. Hell says nothing, does nothing, as he was frightened by this monster in front of him. Fang Chung slams Hell into the ground with such force that it destroys the ground around them. Hell spits blood from the force of the impact. The force was such that the surrounding cars were blown away. Hell begins to say that Fang Chung is an uncontrollable psychopath. However, he had not yet accepted defeat. Hell starts to scream, saying that Fang Chung thinks he is weak. However, he had not yet shown all his strength. Hell quickly becomes fire, and the flames envelop his entire body. Fang Chung releases him and looks at his arm, which was on fire. Hell stands up and screams that this is his true form, with the flames fully unleashed. He begins to attack Fang Chung. However, Fang Chung smiles and shouts that, in the end, it's just simple fire. When Hell tries to land a punch on Fang Chung, he dodges, grabbing Hell by the arm, and shouts that, with this armored form, his body is immune to fire and burns. Fang Chung continues to smile, and with sheer brute force, he tears off Hell's arm, leaving him desperate as he looks at his arm, torn off as if it were nothing. He jumps away from Fang Chung and screams that this is absolutely unforgettable. With the flames on his body, he manages to create another arm. However, Fang Chung does not give him time, and in a matter of seconds, he was already on top of Hell, ready to deliver his blow. Fang Chung hits Hell with great force, leaving Hell with no defensive reaction. With this, Hell becomes extremely furious and screams that today one of them would die there. The fight becomes more intense between the two, as now both were fighting for their lives. Everything around them starts to be completely destroyed, as the force of the blows and the speed of the two were beyond what humans could understand. Hell tries to attack from a distance with his flames. However, Fang Chung easily defends himself. Every second that passes in the fight, Fang Chung becomes stronger and more aggressive, without any fear. Fang Chung jumps again to attack Hell, passing through flames and anything that was in front of him. Hell sees Fang Chung advancing in this way, and thinks that this must be a joke, as Fang Chung broke the flames with his hands, as if they were absolutely nothing. At this point in the fight, Fang Chung had entered a frenzy state, feeling no pain in his body. He only thinks about killing, and nothing can stop him. Fang Chung lands his punch with great force, throwing Hell against the wall with great force. Fang Chung stops in front of Hell and shouts, saying that there was an incident 5 years ago. He asks Hell why he started that initial fire. Hell falls to his knees from the pain of the blow, and says that he did all this because he was under the orders of the Pope. In fact, he is just a subordinate who follows the Pope's orders. Fang Chung asks if the Pope Hell was referring to was the Pope of the Demon Church. Hell confirms this and emphasizes that injustice has a source, and debts have an owner. He starts to get up, all battered from the beating he had taken, and begins to suggest to Fang Chung that they could stop this fight, and thus, Hell would leave. This enrages Fang Chung. He begins to shout that this is ridiculous. If he were to spare Hell's life, what would he say to his parents who were killed by Hell's actions? What would he say to the innocent souls who died because of all the attacks up to now? Fang Chung grabs his sword, and with hatred in his heart begins to gather energy around him. Hell kneels down desperate. He starts to scream for Fang Chung to wait because maybe they... Before Hell could finish speaking, Fang Chung slices him in half with his sword and shouts that if he has anything to say, he should say it in Hell, where he should have never left. After the blow, Hell begins to fall. However, as he falls, he thinks that as long as the fire of his life is not extinguished, he can reshape his body and revive. With this, he tries to escape, using his flames. Fang Chung is confused by this for a moment. As soon as Fang Chung realizes that Hell was trying to flee, he turns around smiling and tells the Red Falcon to kill Hell. His motorcycle comes at high speed towards Hell. It rears up and spikes come out of its tires. The motorcycle lowers the front part, hitting Hell and sinking him into the ground, making him scream a lot. The motorcycle continues to burn rubber on top of Hell's body, completely tearing it apart. As he is being torn apart, he just screams, cursing Fang Chung as a fool, since he was just a pawn of the Demon Church. Hell emphasizes that, if Fang Chung kills him there and now, the Pope of the Demonic Church would never let him get away with it. Fang Chung shouts, saying he doesn't care, as the Pope, the Church, and any other demon that stands in his way will be completely destroyed. After this, Hell is finally killed, and a strong, dense red flame begins to emanate from Fang Chung's body. He examines this and thinks that it isn't too bad. After killing Hell, he gained the Flame ability. He gets on his motorcycle and thinks that the priority now is to get out of there quickly, as if he ends up being discovered by the lone wolf, the problem will be even bigger. He accelerates his motorcycle and disappears from there. While all this was happening outside, the lone wolf was still fighting with the worshippers of the demon Hell. Finally, he manages to defeat them and thinks that he doesn't know how these two demons were fighting. He runs outside to see if he could arrive in time. However, as soon as he looks outside, he is astonished. The whole place was completely destroyed, as if a war had happened there. He says that, it seems, he didn't need to intervene. The demon lord managed to kill Hell alone. Far from the club where the fight took place, Fang Chung enters an alley with his motorcycle. As soon as he enters the alley, he falls off the motorcycle and starts coughing, returning to his human form. He sits on the ground and leans against a trash can, saying that the battle has finally ended, but his revenge has not. The demon slayer appears in front of Fang Chung, asking if he was sure he wanted to face the Pope of the Demonic Church, as this will be the most difficult path of his life. Fang Chung looks angrily at the demon slayer and says that the Pope is the real culprit for the death of his parents. If he doesn't die, then Fang Chung won't have peace in his life. The demon slayer punches Fang Cheng's body, saying that he really is brave and, therefore, he will constantly help Fang Cheng become stronger in the days to come. Fang Cheng shouts, saying that the demon slayer was hurting him. After 40 minutes at the club where the whole battle had taken place, the police and firefighters finally arrive at the scene. However, 2 people were far away, looking at all this. These people were wearing suspicious masks. One of them says that the demon Hell finally died since he was a waste anyway. The other says that the Incredible Ones will surely be defeated. He begins to remove his mask and says that they could leave the task of sacrificing Dongzhou City to him. This man also asks the other to go back and tell the Pope that he will not fail in this mission. He jumps up and 3 black arrows appear beside him. People scream that someone is attacking and therefore, they should run. The man in the air says he will never fail because he was the chosen one who inherited the power of the Shadow Demon. The 3 black arrows strike the shadows of the 3 men who were there. The man says the shadow returns and the people die. The next morning, Fang Cheng returns home. He opens the door and says he is back. His sister turns around quickly to look because she was worried about him. She runs to the door and says that he finally returned to their home. She points out that it had been a while since he had answered or returned her calls. Fang Cheng apologizes to her and explains that he was very busy hunting demons and therefore decided not to talk to anyone until he finished his hunt. Fang Cheng explains that this time the gains were extremely good and therefore he decided to bring another gift for her. His sister remains a bit suspicious of everything as she was very worried about him. She asks what gift he was talking about. Fang Cheng takes some flames in his hand and shows them to her. He smiles and says that he had bought a convenience store near their house and these were the keys to the door. Fang Cheng looks directly at his sister and says that from today onwards, she no longer needs to work for anyone else, as she could manage her own store. She is astonished by this, looking at him without saying anything for a while. She sighs and gets a little angry about it. She says that buying a store must cost a lot of money, and in her view, Fang Cheng should have saved the money he was earning for himself, as he still had to get married, buy a house, and take care of his family in the future. Fang Cheng continues smiling and asks his sister to think of it as an investment he was making in her, as in the future her store would make more money, thus the family would have even more money. She looks at him for a while, filled with pride. She thanks him for doing this for her and says she saw him grow up and feels proud of the man he has become. She emphasizes that she is very lucky to have a brother like him. Fang Cheng is happy to hear this and smiles once more. His sister changes the subject and runs to the table to pick up a letter that was there. She comes back happily and hands it to him, saying that it's a letter from the Hunters Association with his name on it. Fang Cheng is surprised by this, as he wasn't expecting any letter. Without wasting time, Fang Cheng opens the letter to see what was really inside. As soon as he opens it, he shouts with happiness, saying it was the official hunter certificate issued by the association. His sister smiles, happy, and asks if he really had become an officially certified hunter. Fang Cheng falls silent, looking at his certificate, thinking that it arrived at a perfect moment, as tomorrow is the graduation exam day at the hunter school. Now that he has this certificate, he can face anything with confidence. Another day passes, and now we are in Dongzhou, the place where the graduation assessment of the academy will take place. Several students were gathered there. 2 people arrive and introduce themselves. They are the examiners from the Hunters Association. He begins to explain that it's graduation season once again, and according to the regulations, if a student passes their exam, then they could obtain a hunter certificate, and therefore, they should do their best to pass the test. The examiner wishes good luck to everyone present. The examiner emphasizes that they are keeping an eye on the advancement to the performance of everyone present. One of Chen Tianyu's classmates says that Fang Cheng has been on leave from school for a long time and has not yet returned to school. Chen Tianyu smiles and says that probably he didn't come because he has no notable skills and is worried about failing the evaluation. Chen Tianyu smiles as he thinks he only lost to Fang Cheng last time because he was caught off guard. Chen Tianyu says that after the intense training he underwent, his strength has greatly increased, and now Fang Cheng is no match for him. Long Yue hears them talking about Fang Cheng and gets irritated. She frowns and says that with Fang Cheng's personality, he would definitely take part in the exam. Chen Tianyu smiles and says that's just a fool's dream. Suddenly Fang Cheng appears, noting that there were many people there, surprising everyone because he really showed up. Long Yue is delighted to see him and shouts that he finally returned. Fang Cheng smiles, saying that it's almost graduation time and that's why he needed to return to school. Fang Cheng points out that he only came there for the withdrawal from the assessment. Long Yue is surprised by this and yells, asking if he was giving up on the assessment and if this was some kind of joke. Chen Tianyu starts laughing and says that Fang Cheng doesn't even have the courage to participate in the assessment, calling it ridiculous. The others start laughing, asking if he was really going to give up. Fang Cheng just looks at everyone there and says they don't need to worry, as he had already obtained the hunter certificate in advance, and thanks to this, there is no reason for him to take this assessment. Long Yue is shocked, wondering how he got the hunter certificate so quickly. She thinks that Fang Cheng's progress is indeed very fast. Chen Tianyu points to Fang Cheng and says he needs to be more modest with his abilities. Another guy laughs and says that, with his fighting skills, that's impossible. One of the examiners overhears all this and approaches, saying that if a student was so good that he became a professional hunter even before the exam, he really wouldn't need to take the assessment. However, to verify this, he would check the certificate. Fang Cheng turns to the examiner and says there is no problem, as he came prepared. Fang Cheng hands the envelope with the certificate inside to the examiner. The examiner takes it out and reads the certificate. As soon as the examiner reads it, he is surprised and starts to shout, asking if he read that correctly. The examiner says that it is indeed a certificate signed by the Hunters Association and is a Class C. The evaluator is the Vice President Zhuti. Those who were laughing at him are astonished, as all the students were Class D, and that was already quite good for their level. Chen Tianyu is annoyed, saying that this couldn't be true. Long Yue turns to Fang Cheng and scolds him, saying that he was hiding a lot from her, as he was already Class C and had said nothing to her. Fang Cheng apologizes and says that this happened recently while he was away. While the two were talking, all the students begin to surround Fang Cheng, saying he was truly incredible, a real genius, the best at school. Fang Cheng feels a bit shy amid everyone, as he hadn't expected this at all. He sighs and thinks that this world is truly absurd. The students were mocking him and suddenly transform, smiling and saying these things. The examiner hands the certificate back to Fang Cheng and says that, with the qualifications of such a young Class C, he will surely be one of the best in the future if he trains hard. The examiner also says that, in his opinion, Fang Cheng should join the Hunters Association as soon as possible and serve the people of the city. With this, again the students begin to shout and say that the Hunters Association invited Fang Cheng in front of everyone there. His future had no limits. Another student asks which was the better team, whether it was the Hunters Association or the Dongzhou Hunters Union. While everyone was there surprised and trying to flatter Fang Cheng, Chen Tianyu was in the back, seething with anger and jealousy. Fang Cheng, among everyone, begins to say that joining the Hunters Association is always a very good offer, but he would refuse at this moment. He was thinking that the identity of a demon slayer is too special. He still could not join a group and organization, as someone might notice something very strange and discover his secret. The examiner looks at Fang Cheng and says that the conditions provided by the Hunters Association are extremely good and generous, and yet, there are still those who refuse. Long Yue, happy to see her man achieving everything he always wanted, thinks there must be a reason for Fang Cheng to refuse this invitation, which is everyone's dream. However, ordinary people are not capable of understanding this. One of the examiners looks at the other and says that Fang Cheng's certificate was issued by the Dongzhou Hunters Association, and that his skills must have been recognized by Jyoti himself, so they should not worry about inviting him. The other examiner turns and says that if Fang Cheng is not interested in joining, they cannot force him. The examiner says he hopes to see him again. The other examiner goes and talks to the rest of the students, asking them to disperse, as the evaluation is about to begin. Fang Cheng says they will meet again. However, he thinks socializing is quite boring. He prefers dealing with demons instead of doing this. Long Yue runs up again, all happy, saying she would now take the exam and would do her best to pass and keep up with him. Fang Cheng smiles and touches her hand, telling her that she should believe she can do anything. He says he would wait outside the school, waiting for good news from her. She is happy with this and confirms that she would go there as soon as she finished. Time passes, and finally the exam ends. Students start coming out of the school. Some complain that they failed and would have to study for another year, while others boast about having passed as a Class E, as they could create weapons with their hands. Some women are impressed with this. Another young man there says he heard that Long Yue had awakened a Class C elemental wind ability. The two flatterers of Chen Tianyu celebrate, as he had a Class D elemental lightning ability. However, Chen Tianyu is not happy at all with this. He yells at his friends, saying it didn't matter, as he had a long way to go before reaching Fang Cheng. He shouts, saying that no matter what happens, he would surpass him. His friends are scared by this, as he was releasing his ability near them. The students leave the exam and go to a fair nearby to eat and celebrate. Inside a restaurant, Fang Cheng and Long Yue are sitting and talking. She is very happy and smiling while telling him that she would pay for the meal. As she was very happy, Fang Cheng congratulates her for awakening a Class C elemental ability and becoming an official hunter after graduation. Fang Cheng looks at Long Yue and thinks that she is a true genius. Her level exceeded the expectations he had. It seems she trained a lot during all this time. He thinks that his current strength is only at the mid-level of Class C, close to the advanced level. This means that Fang Cheng is just a bit stronger than Long Yu, and this motivates him to continue training hard to always be able to protect her when needed. Long Yu picks up her drink and starts saying that she needs to continue the assessments and work in an official department, like the demon hunting department. She asks what Fang Cheng would do now. He looks at his arm, which was emanating energy, and says he would continue working alone as a full-time demon hunter. The energy coming out of his arm is the demon slayer, who bursts out laughing. He says that Fang Cheng's wife is planning to enter the demon hunting department, and that maybe in the future, she might end up catching Fang Cheng as a demon. Fang Cheng gets angry at the demon slayer and slaps him, telling him to get out of there. Long Yu is confused by this. As everyone knows, the demon slayer is in soul form, and thus, only its host can see him. Long Yue, not understanding anything, asks Fang Cheng why he was acting strange. Suddenly he smiles, disguising his discomfort, and says that it was nothing. He was fine. Fang Cheng changes the subject and smiles, saying that anyway, he sincerely wishes the best for her, and also hopes that she will soon be admitted to an official department. She smiles, and says she also wishes for him to become a highly recognized hunter. She was thinking that, after graduation, the chances of staying and meeting up with Fang Cheng would become less frequent. As the two were eating, drinking, and talking at the table, a news report appears on the restaurant's TV, stating,
"Breaking news. Shadow incidents have occurred in the southern area of Dongzhou. A large number of residents in the area have transformed into shadows and are indiscriminately attacking residents, and therefore everyone needs to evacuate the area immediately. Many hunters have already been deployed on combat missions."
Long Yu looks at the TV and says that, mysteriously, just after the fire incident, another shadow incident appeared. Fang Cheng says nothing, just watches and listens. A few seconds later, he stands up and says it's definitely a conspiracy by the demonic church. They are determined to take over the city. Fang Cheng emphasizes that it's time to investigate again. Long Yu becomes worried and yells, asking if he was going to hunt again in a place completely destroyed and overrun by monsters and demons. There were two shadow wolves there. Standing still, one of the wolves notices something and prepares to attack. However, both are sliced in half within seconds. It was Fang Cheng who was already at the location where the news had been reported. As he walked, he thought that even dogs could turn into shadows. After he walks around the place, he finds several bodies on the ground. He looks at all this and thinks that common shadow creatures alone could not have killed so many hunters. Clearly, there are more powerful demons hidden nearby. As he analyzes the situation, a giant centipede appears behind him to attack. He senses something behind him and quickly turns around. The centipede was already attacking. However, he manages to jump quickly and dodge her attack. As soon as he lands back on the ground, he becomes extremely worried, as upon looking down, he sees that his shadow had been hit, and therefore, he had taken damage. He wonders when his shadow had been hit. Fang Cheng stands still as the centipede advances to attack him. The centipede manages to hit him, throwing him backward. The demon slayer appears and tells him that only 30 seconds have passed and he already feels so empty. The demon slayer asks why he can't make a simple move. Fang Cheng says that the attacks from the shadow creatures come with poisonous effects, causing multiple injuries. However, he has the ability to heal himself, so he can treat himself quickly. But as soon as he recovers from the first attack, he realizes that several demons are behind him, which surprises him, as now he would receive attacks from several sides at the same time. All the demons surround him and begin to laugh. Fang Cheng transforms his arm into the arm of the demon slayer and thinks that no matter what creature it is, as long as it is a shadow, it must die. With that, the battle begins between them. The demons start to come at Fang Cheng with everything. However, Fang Cheng defends and attacks at the same time. His strikes were so strong that they broke the swords of the demons and cut them at the same time. In seconds, he finishes off all those who dared attack him first. However, behind him, the centipede was already ready to attack again. It jumps from the ground and attacks him. Fang Cheng, seeing this, has a good idea. He thinks he will take this opportunity to test the power of the flames he had taken from hell. He stretches out his hand and red flames begin to appear. With that, he manages a precise attack on the monster in front of him, throwing it far away. However, another appears, attacking suddenly. Fang Cheng grips his sword and prepares to face the second monster. However, he doesn't understand why several monsters were gathering and attacking together. He says it seems like he has been marked as a hunting target. The demon slayer, observing everything, is also puzzled. The monster tries to bite Fang Cheng. However, he manages to defend himself. The strength of the giant snake was immense, and it begins to push Fang Chung backward while trying to bite him. Fang Chung thinks this snake indeed possesses significant brute strength. As he holds off the snake, he hears screams and cries for help. When he looks back, he sees two people running from other monsters that resembled sharks. The two people fail to escape, and the monsters catch them. Fang Chung watches this and starts to get angry. He shouts, questioning what the hell was happening there, as even sharks were appearing in a place without water. He uses his flames again, and manages to strike the snake, causing it to halt its attack. This gives Fang Chung some distance from them. However, as soon as he frees himself from the snake's attack, he must immediately jump because the sharks were already there, ready to attack him. A sea of shadows appears there, allowing the sharks to move freely. The demon slayer reappears and tells Fang Chung that all shadows are controlled by the shadow demon. Only by finding its true form can it be killed. Fang Chung acknowledges this. The demon slayer warns Fang Chung to be cautious, as the monsters were returning to attack him again. Fang Chung grabs his sword and shouts that he must kill the sharks first. Fang Chung uses his black mist ability and manages to envelop the sharks in it. After this, he merges his two abilities, black mist with fire. He calls this fire mist explosion. A powerful attack is launched, causing a massive shockwave. Everything in front of the attack is completely destroyed. Fang Chung looks at this and says that, probably after that attack, that was the end for the sharks. He thinks that, after the battle, he has gained a lot of demonic energy. The demon slayer appears once more and says that Fang Chung is still just a child, and it's too early to think that he has won. He should look up. Fang Chung is startled by this and immediately looks up. As he looks at the sky, he sees several shadow birds flying over him. Fang Chung thinks this is a joke. How can there be so many monsters in just one place? Not far from where Fang Chung was fighting, some hunters see the birds forming. One of them says it's very strange, as they were all heading in the same direction. Over a completely destroyed building, a shadow cloud was forming, and right in that place was the shadow demon. It smiles and says that if Fang Chung really wants to play the shadow game, then it would play with him to the end. Fang Chung analyzes the crows and realizes they all gathered right there. He notices some crows approaching him and trying to attack. He uses his sword with his flame to strike those that got close. However, more crows appeared. Fang Chung stops and thinks about it. He concludes this approach won't work, as the crows are endless. The demon slayer smiles and says he has a very bold idea. Fang Chung turns to him and tells him to go ahead and share what crazy idea he had. The demon slayer spreads its wings wide and starts flying at such a high speed that Fang Chung calls him crazy for doing it without saying anything. Suddenly, they begin to enter the midst of the crows. Fang Chung asks if the demon slayer is going mad. However, the demon slayer shouts and tells Fang Chung to get ready, as he would take him into the path of the crows and follow it to the end. Fang Chung grips his sword and starts killing the crows in his path while the demon slayer flies them through the sky.
If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and like the video. Thank you.